boys, welcome to today's video. This one's going to be a fun one. Obviously you're looking at this like Sporting Lisbon. Look, there's going to be a wee bit of a twist this video. Look, FM24 has been out for nearly 2 years now. We all know what the good formations are. We all know what the good players are. We all know who the good wonder kids are. So I'm going to try and mix things up a little bit. I'm probably going to do this maybe every other video just to make things a little more interesting. So what I'm going to do is, instead of just starting with the Sporting team, look, we all know how good they are. Diamande, Inacio, De Bast, they have Gal Keres, no, I mean, they have Trincao, they have Hijrelmand. Their team is pretty fucking phenomenal. It's a good Premiership team, never mind a good Portuguese team. So I have went 5 years into the future, so I'm starting this save in 2028, going into the 2028-29 season. So this is going to be something that's a little interesting. Obviously, I don't know who they've kept. I could probably guess the 3 centre backs I just named have all probably been sold because they always end up going to big Premiership teams. But it's going to make things a little more interesting. We're going to have some wonder kids. Usually Sporting's usually pretty decent at bringing young players through, so we may have some bangers. We may also have a terrible team. I haven't looked at the team yet. I've just set up 3 formations that I might want to use because obviously I don't know who's here yet. So yeah, I just thought I would try something a little different, something a little fun, and just keep things interesting. Obviously we may get FM26 soon. We just don't know. Over on the homepage, look, also if you go in and look at the Portuguese league as well. So obviously the last 2 seasons, 23 and 24, they did very, very well. Won the league both years. But since then, so the 5 years I have went into the future, they haven't won the league. Benfica won it. Benfica was on a bit of a tear, won it 4 years in a row. And then Porto has obviously just won it the previous season there. So obviously we haven't won the league in 5 years. So we want to bring some glory back to the team on top of that. So we're just going to go in, like I said, we'll just look at the team together. I'm hoping, I'm praying, if you pray to the baby Jeebas, please give us some good players. Let's jump in. Keepers wise, Jose Virginia. Honestly, not a bad keeper. He's 30 years old. He's Portuguese, so obviously registration. Rui Silva, I kind of guessed if he was still here. Look, very, very old, about to turn 37. He's also retiring. And then Diego Khalil, he's actually very, very good. How much did they pay for him? He's been at Sporting the whole time. Okay. So obviously I'm on an updated database. So the database, the save file, the corner routine, and the tactic that I use will all be in the pinned comments down below when this video goes live. So if you want to go and pick any of it up, it will all be down there. So honestly, very, very good keeper. I would say out of those keepers that we looked at so far, he's been, yeah. And also they've got a 20-year-old keeper. He's not bad, to be honest. He's only 20. How much did they pay for him? 200,000. If we're being realistic, look, Big Diego is probably more likely going on the goal nets. Obviously, you know my love for playing 5 at the back, 3 centre backs. It is my favourite thing. I just honestly, look, I don't know how many centre backs we've got. So obviously, we may end up playing like a 4-2-3-1 or whatever until I can get enough centre backs to play. I would ideally like to play 5 at the back, but we'll just have to see what team we've got. Also, I want to look how much money have we got. 10 million. Finances. Oh, that's not good. I just noticed that. I don't know if you've seen it up at the top of the screen here. The original transfer budget was 10 million. 40% of transfer revenue is made available until we make 36.2 million. So I have to make 36 million. Technically, it's going to be what? 75 to 80 million before I get 100% transfer revenue. So that's not good, which means we're probably not going to get, if we sell a player, say sell a player for 40 million, we're not going to get much of that money, which kind of sucks a little bit. But look, it is what it is. Debts and loans. Oh, that's kind of juicy. Right, so they started off with 280 million in original debt and it's down to 132 million, which honestly, we should be able to bump off. But the thing is, this isn't the Premiership. We're not going to make a ton of money. The Portuguese league doesn't have the money like the Premiership does. If you're in debt in the Premiership, it doesn't take long to get out of it because you can just sell really bad players for really good money. And moving over to the juicy part, the defense, right? Honestly, he's actually pretty solid. Right-footed, little one-footed, but he's got a good mentality. He's consistent. He enjoys the big games. He's still only 26. How much did they pay for him? 5 million. That's honestly an absolute steal. He is very, very good. So we know we have at least one good centre back. This one is out on loan. If I'm being realistic, he's not great. He also doesn't have any room to improve, so more than likely not going to stay in the team. Stasic, another one, 22 years old. He's not great. Like, even for the Portuguese league, he's probably not great. Thiago Dijalo is very, very good. I do remember his name. Obviously, with us being 5 years in the future, he's going to be 31 this year, but all in all, still look a very, very good centre back, especially for this league as well. So we have 2 decent centre backs. One of them a little older, but it's nice to have that, someone with a bit of experience, and then someone a little bit younger. Then we have Mark Pubel. Honestly, not bad. Would probably look more like a wee bit of a defensive midfielder than he would like a centre back. But honestly, for this league, would be a pretty good backup. And then we have Emilio Lara. Another one, pretty good backup. What's the upsetty spaghetti about? Wants a new deal to reflect his ability. Honestly, I would probably give him a contract because then it means we've got 4 good centre backs, the 2 starters, and then these 2 as our backup. So I'll probably more likely give him an our contract. Paulinho, he's also retiring and he's 35 years old. I just looked at his physical stats and the speed and was just like, honestly, joking aside, he looks more like a keeper than he does a defensive midfielder. Honestly, look, retiring, so we can't really do anything about it. So, one of our young players, honestly, pretty solid for 19. He's also Portuguese. He's got a good mentality. He can play with both feet. 6'2". You know my love for big physical players. He looks like he'd probably be more of a centre back, like a no-nonsense centre back, because he's not great at carrying the ball. I know obviously their stats will progress over time, but like the main things that jump out is marking, is tackling, a wee bit of heading, jumping. He's not, his agility and balance is probably more likely going to need to be worked on. His pace is also not fantastic, but he's only just turned 19, so no, I mean, it could be one for the future. And Ilias Gillert, there's probably, holy shit, hold on, he's not fucking bad. God damn, please don't be a big club that wants him. Right, that's perfectly fine. Look, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Spurs don't have a silly release clause. Right, so we could probably wrangle a little deal. I could probably wrangle this up to like 40. If we get 40 to 45 million for him, I would ideally want 45 to 50 for him, but we'll just have to see. Honestly, I would like to keep him. He's only 26. He is very, very good. So if I can hold on to him, look, even if we have to piss him off and keep him with the club, we'll just do that. Next one is Gilles Small. Look how happy he is. He's fantastic hair. He's got a good smile. It's just unfortunate he's not a great player. Honestly, probably a decent backup, but he's also 32, so probably a good backup for a left back. I just noticed we have Cucurella, but to be fair, Cucurella is actually very good in this game. Yeah, what's he upset about? He wants a new contract. Right, how much did they pay for him? 15 million. Honestly, 15 million for Cucurella is not bad. So that means, honestly, we have a pretty decent defense. Like Cucurella, Dijalo, Lakovic and Gillard, and then Diego and Nets. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. I also notice we have Kimpembe in on loan. Unhappy with the amount of playing time. The thing is, he's 25. He's not worth a lot. He would be. Do you think he'd want to come to us as a backup? Would expect to be given an occasional opportunity. Honestly, this is one I may keep. Do we have a thing in his contract? 1.4 million. He's not worth that. We could probably get him for like $1 million. He's one I may actually just bring in and keep as a squad player because we are going to need squad depth. Another one, right? A backup for left back. So it means we can get rid of the Dutch guy that's like 30 odds because we have a younger 23-year-old that is a lot better, to be honest. So it means we could probably sell Big Gills. Look, Big Gills, I'm sorry, bro. Look, I know you've got a fantastic smile. Hold on. Is he in on loan? Why can't I? Oh, his contract is up, right? We don't even need to get rid of him because he's out of contract, so he's just going to leave. Ideally, I would have liked to sold him for a wee bit of cash, but like, that's some interesting stats. Obviously, look, he's going to be 38, he's retiring, but look, his mentals are fantastic technical, but don't even really need to look at him because he's obviously retiring, he's not going to be here. Big Hujelmand is surprisingly still here, which is absolutely wild. He's only a year left on his contract as well, and he's also wanted by Al Nassr. Here's the issue, right? I'll try and give him an our contract. If he doesn't want to take another contract, we sell him on because obviously we're going to need to clear the debt. The debt's going to be the main thing because if, say, we bring young players in, right, and then we sell them on for a bucket load of cash, we're only getting 40% of that transfer revenue. The main thing's going to be if he wants to sign a new contract, we keep him. If he doesn't, we move him on. Ideally, I would like to keep Hujelmand. He's only just turned 30 and he's absolutely fantastic. I would love to keep him. Marita. Another one, he's 35. I'll probably honestly look to sell him on because, look, if we can get 2 million for him, it's an absolute steal and it's going to help towards, obviously, the overall debt at the club. Jar Ramos, he's not great. And he's also out of contract, so it's another one. Right, and the next one is Dario Milo. Holy shit. Okay. He's not bad. Did we buy him or did we come through the youth system? He came through the youth system. Right, I know just by looking at this, he's going to be wanted by big clubs because he is only 20 and he is phenomenal. Oh shit, Chelsea, Man City, Man United, please don't have a release clause. 41 million. I would have been looking at about 70 to 80 million for him, easy. I know he's only worth 20 and he is phenomenal. If we can hold on to him and get that release clause out of his contract, so it's not Yair Ramos, it's Diego. I would play him in there because he can play defensive midfield. That's like one of his positions. Dude, we've got a good team. It's just going to be the main thing is can we hold on to him? Right, Gonzalez, not great. Mendes, another one, probably a decent squad player. Kjellgaard, another one I do know. Interesting. So he's more of like an attack. He's like an in here type player. So obviously I don't know who else is still at the club. Santos, a decent squad player. He's also Portuguese. Apologies for the weird cut. My OBS crashed. So the next one is going to be young Santos. Okay, he's actually not bad. He's right. Please don't have a release clause. Doesn't have a release clause. Right. When's his contract up? 31. Honestly, he's not bad. He's pretty decent. He's Portuguese. He's 20. First touch is good. Passing's good. Technique is good. Mental stats are actually pretty solid. Physicals kind of falls off a fucking hill a little bit. I wish his natural fitness and stamina was a little better. I would like that. But yeah, apart from that, on all pretty decent. I'd probably put him on the bench. We'll slap him on the bench, right? And then who was the other one? Was it Santos? Yes, right. He's a good squad player. It was this guy that was on loan, wasn't it? Right. Another one. Another decent squad player, and like I say, I don't even know if we're in the Champions League, which is the main thing. We're gonna have to see that, right? Sefian Diop, honestly, not bad. He's actually pretty solid. Who wants him? The Saudi League. See, this is gonna be the issue, isn't it? Like, if we want to clear the debt, we're gonna have to sell some of these people, right? Eduardo, honestly, he's not bad. Brazilian. He's only 19 years old. Did we pay for him, or did we brought him through our youth system? Right? Okay. Honestly, all in all, depend on if he can get the 4-star. I doubt he's going to get the 4-star. 3-star, he's pretty solid. Look, all in all, a pretty good player. He's young. It's the natural fitness. 5. I don't understand how you can have good stamina and 5 natural fitness, but he's another one. Look, we're going to need squad players, and we'll just have to wait and see how he progresses over time. Right, Trincao is still here. So, honestly, Trincao is still very, very good. Who wants him? Al Nassr, this is another one. Like I said, how old is Kjellgaard? He's only 26. See, my thinking is, right, anybody that's wanted by the Saudi League, we kind of just try and sell them to Saudi League and make a bucket load of cash. Because obviously, like I said, clearing the debt is going to be the main thing here. So I feel like Trincao is one of the ones. I'm going to stick the people that I might want to sell in the 15. Higelmand, I'm not too sure yet. I'm still kind of on the fence because I would like to keep him. But it's also the Saudi League and we know we can get a ton of cash. Right, this guy. Another one, 31 years old. He's not worth a ton of cash, so we'll probably just keep him as like a squad player. He's also out of contract soon. So, yeah, I just make our decision for us. Ricardinho, Portuguese. He's not great. We'll just keep him around for squad player. It's crazy that he's worth 12 to 15 or 12 to 13 million. We just bought him for 10 million. I can't even sell him because we just bought him. Sokacech, honestly, he's not bad. Play with both feet, good dribbling. Mental stats aren't phenomenal, but like it's the Portuguese league, you know what I mean? If he can play with both feet, I'd honestly just play him out there. And then Grambani, not great. Then Martins, also not great, doesn't have any potential. And then Huerta, honestly, not bad, pretty decent squad player. Look, he's okay. I wouldn't say he's phenomenal at anything. And then Mastantino, that's the guy we just looked at. Is this the Fatinha like that I'm thinking of, the striker, the Portuguese one? It is. Hold on, how much did we pay for him? So we loaned him in and then bought him for 8 million. Honestly, I like Fatinha. Honestly, for this league, he's actually pretty solid. I know he's 30 years old, but like once again, our options are probably going to be very limited. Gabriel Silva, I'm hoping if this is the Gabriel Silva that came through the youth system at this club, I'm hoping they've played him and actually made him a little bit better. They haven't. Bro, this is one of the frustrating things about FM, because he's 23 years old now. Let's see how many games he's actually played in the last couple of seasons. So let's roll back to the 23 season. Played 3 games in the first team, 7 substitute appearances, 5 starts, 16 off the bench, 0 starts, 2 off the bench, and then 11 off the bench. And he has good potential. He really, really does. Like if you play him, he can become very, very good. But it's just, I don't know if we can get it back. Honestly, I'll keep him around. He's Portuguese, he's 23, he'll help with squad registration, and he can play pretty much in 3 positions, so it's going to help us out quite a lot. All in all, honestly, this is a pretty solid first team. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as Inacio, Diamande, fucking like the team that you have. The backline, I'm actually pretty solid with. Gillard is going to be the one I want to keep. I really, really want to keep. But if those big clubs come in, it's going to be a little difficult. Right, reserve team. Who's in the B team? Felipe Cherlevert there. Honestly, not bad. When's the contract? He's on a youth contract, so I'm probably going to sign him up. Once again, he's Portuguese, he's only 16. Honestly, looks pretty solid. Well, obviously, we'll have to reevaluate that in a couple of years and kind of see what he's like. Luis Fonseca. Another one, not bad. Probably more of like a defensive midfielder than he is a fullback because he can't really overly carry the ball. Obviously, can't play in centre defensive midfield. 8 jumping reach and 9 heading. So honestly, he's okay, but like, I don't know. Estavio Baia dos Santos. That's obviously a fantastic name. Another one, Portuguese. He's only 16. Another one to keep around the first team or around the second team and just kind of see how he gets on. João Melo. Honestly, has some interesting stats. Once again, he's only 15 jumping reach, 12 heading. Honestly, if he has decent potential, you know my love for big physical strikers. He's also 6'2". You know my favorite striker in the game is going to be Esposito. I would love to bring him to the club, but I get the feeling we don't have the cash for that. But we also don't know who he's playing for right now, so we'll have to have a wee look. Honestly, it's not bad. He's got 14 finishing, 13 first touch, 16 determination, 17 bravery. Vision's good, passing's good. Like I said, his heading solid. 4 strength, a little bit of a problem, and he's not the fastest, but strength is going to come with time. He's only 15 years old. So this could be one, honestly, for the future. He looks pretty solid. Next one is Jero Isse. Centre back, pretty decent. Once again, oh, he's 20. Right, okay. If he was 15 or 16, I would have been like, right, okay, he looks pretty solid. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. This is one, honestly, I'll probably bring up into once he comes back, because obviously he's out on loan. I'll probably bring it back up into the first team and then just reevaluate. Who have we got now? Rafael Fernandez, another one, 19 years old. Once again, who wants him? Arthur. Honestly, this is one I'll probably more likely sell, because the things I notice bad straight away is he's inconsistent. He's also got a horrible mentality. So this is probably going to be one I'm more than likely going to just offer out. You know my hatred for players that have terrible mentalities. Right. Under 23s, Jose Pereira. Is this the one? This is very similar to the guy that we looked at. Another one that's got a horrible mentality, so I'm more likely going to offer him out to. Actually, I can't, because he's only 15, which means somebody will just steal him on a free. So we'll keep him in the team, give him a full-time contract, and then try and move him on. Manuel Lopez, 17 years old. Cape Verdean, I think that's how you pronounce that. Good mentality. Honestly, pretty solid, only 17. When's his contract end? We've got 2 years left on his contract. The next one is Mark Stark. It's not great, but he's Portuguese, so we'll probably keep him around. Right, the under 19s, Vivo, another one because he's 15, kind of hard to tell, but has an amazing personality, really consistent, can play with both feet. He's only 15, he's Portuguese, he's also a hobbit. He's 5'3". I think that's one of the shortest people I've seen in FM, but fantastic mentality, or fantastic I can't spit out. Fantastic potential. He also has a fantastic mentality as well. But yeah, this is one, obviously, with his high determination, good decision making, good leadership skills, good work rate, good heading. I love that he's got 14 heading with 2 jumping ridge. But this is one, honestly, for the future, because he could be very, very good. He's also got a contract till 2032, so we'll keep a wee eye on him. The Sporting B team, these ones we've all kind of looked at. So although, honestly, boys, the team's looking pretty solid. But the main thing, like I said, is going to be the debt. The debt is going to have to be removed because, us only being able to, if I sell a player on, I want to get more than 40%. But the main thing is going to be we need performances on the pitch. I would like to try and keep as much of this team as I can. Ideally, like I said, if I can sell Trincao, maybe Hazelmand, I don't want to sell him, but like he's only one that the Saudi League. He's good. He's so fucking good though. He is so good as a defensive midfielder. If I can get 35 to 40 million for him to help clear the debt, because we're going to need to make like 70 plus million to clear that debt. If I could sell Higelmand and Trincao, or maybe a bunch of other players for a little bit of cash and make that up somewhere. So, yeah, I'm going to go. Obviously, this is at the end of the season. We have 10 million. We're going to get our new transfer budget because this is right at the end of the 5th season. So I'm going to go travel to the new transfer window and then see how much cash we got. And then, yeah, we'll have a wee talk about the rest of the team. So boys, after what was, I'm not going to lie, a pretty hectic transfer window, I think we've done pretty well with the team. Look, obviously, going in this season, we've got a pretty decent team, but there is a few areas that we do need to strengthen. The main thing is going to be trying to clear the finances out a little bit, because only getting 40% of the sales is not going to be good. Like that's the thing. I want to be able to bring players in, sell them for large amounts of money, and make the finances of this club fantastic. And only getting 40% of the transfer, yeah, it's not great. So transfers, have been very, very good. We've sold a decent amount of players. I think in total we've probably got rid of nearly 200 million in players. So one of the first people out the door was Trincao. Surprisingly went to Liverpool. It was between Liverpool and the Saudi League. They both come in and offered the same amount of cash. We got 30 million in straight cash. He picked Liverpool, which is good to see. Not very often players pick going to the big team that's usually all the money. I mean, he probably could have got himself about £600,000 or £700,000 a week, but look, we got ourselves 30 million in the door. I was also looking through one of the players that we had actually previously sold. Obviously, this has nothing to do with me. He's just been sold, which is the worst part about it. Don't go wrong, they got amazing money for him. 37 million up front, working its way up to 60 million, so it's really, really good money, and they sold him on the Inter. But this dude is unreal. This would have solved our right back problems with no issue. This guy is disgustingly good, but unfortunately, he's a way to enter. Well, then the next person out the door was Marian Suchek. This is one we actually got a decent amount of money for. Look, we just bought him, but he was one of those players. I found some players in his position that were way better, way cheaper, and we could sell him on for a little bit of cash. So Roma come in and give us 19 million up front, working its way up to 23.5. Then the next one out the door is one I actually didn't want to sell, was our keeper, but yeah, Real Madrid came in and offered for him. So yeah, they came in and offered originally. I said no. He got upset, he spaghetti, so we ended up working out a deal. It's 22 million or 22.5 million, working its way up to 30 million. Look, for a keeper that's been at the club the whole time, and look, we can't really stop him going to Real Madrid. And the next person out the door was Morten Hesselman. Like I said, this is one I was kind of on the fence about. Look, I know we need the cash, and he's at that point in his career where he's going to be 32 this year, and this is probably the best time for us to cash in on him because he's still very, very good. And look, he went off to the Saudi League, and we got a total of 34.5 million for him, which I think all does a pretty good deal. He's on £675,000 a week. I'm not gonna lie, boys. Can you imagine having that in your bank account? Then the next one out the door was Sefian Diop. Another one, once again, off the Saudi League on £600,000 a week. We got 35 million up front, all in cash. I did try to wrangle a little deal, work us up to like 45 million. They said no. They just give us the straight 35 million. Look, I'm not going to complain. It's more money in the bank, even though we only get 40% of it. Like I said, one of the ones I wanted to keep, but let's be honest, we all knew he was going to end up going somewhere big, was Elias Gillard. Look, he went to Arsenal. He's worth 91 to 106 million already. Look, we got him for a total of 8.5 million. Got 48 million, working its way up to 58 million, which I think all in all is a very, very good deal. He's a very, very good player. Once again, would have liked to keep him because he's a phenomenal right back, but the Premiership came calling. Once again, we can't really stop him. So we had some replacing to do in the team, and I brought Zeno Dabas back. Look, he was on the transfer list. I was actually just looking to see where Ignacio Diamonde and Dabas that actually went, just out of curiosity, and then I seen Dabas was actually on the transfer list for 5 million, so I went and brought him back to the club. Look, you know my love for Dabas. It's not even like, just the kid is so good all around. He's not a kid now, he's 26, but when the game starts, he's pretty young. 6'3". Play with both feet. He's got a good mentality, consistent, enjoys the big games. He can mark, he can pass, he can tackle. His technique is good. He's got a good engine. Natural fitness and stamina is probably about the only things kind of low in his game, but every player has a weakness. And look, we got him for a total of 5 million, brought him back to the club, so he's going to be our new defensive midfielder now that Higelman's away. Then in probably one of the steals I would say that we've brought in is this guy, Matt Filipovic. He is a Austrian. I'm not gonna lie, Filipovic makes him sound like he's either Russian or like something like that. But anyway, as you can see, a very, very good centre back. He's only 18 years old, 6 foot, left footed. We got him for a total of 5 million, which is absolutely crazy. Really, really good potential. Very, very good all round. And like I said, still has a long way to go to improve. Has a great mentality. And yeah, he's going to beef up our defense a bit. In the next one in the door is going to be one of our attacking players. Look, I know he's technically only 19 years old, and his picture makes him look he's about 50 years old. But look, unfortunately, the face pack just gives him a face, and his looks like he's had a bit of a rough childhood. But anyway, look, young Japanese guy, only just turned 19. We got him for a total of 5.2 million, which once again is an absolute steal. Strong with one foot, very strong with the other foot, got a good mentality, dribbling a 16, finishing a 16. Heading's very good. He can't jump for shit, but his heading's very, very good. 16 acceleration, 16 agility, 15 balance, 15 natural fitness, 16 pace, 14 stamina, 16 flair. So a very, very good player. He's also technically gifted, and he still has room to improve. And for 5.2 million, a little bit of a steal. I brought this young guy in. This is going to be one I'm going to explain to you is Sultani. Obviously, look, we need cover at left back. We need cover at right back. And he was very, very cheap. Look, got him for a total of 6 million, which is really, really good. This is more one of those ones. Look, he's got 20 determination, which means he's got a really, really good personality. Physical stats are absolutely insane. Like I said, he can play on the left back, he can play on right back. He's good with both feet. He's only just turned 19. Look, yeah, his dribbling and first touch aren't fantastic, but look, he's not going to be one that just jumps straight into the team and just starts straight away. He's going to be here for squad depth, and for 6 million, we need people to play in squad depth because we're going to be playing on a lot of competitions. And one of the reasons why I brought him in is because I loaned in this little guy, Firis Feruse, as you can see, from Man United for the season for 1.5 million. Yeah, and then he went and got a broken leg, and he's now out for 4 to 5 months. So I don't know if I just go and cancel this the deal. Actually, I can't even terminate the loan. I have to wait till January. So yeah, we got him, and then like about a week and a half later, he ends up going and doing that. So he's out. So then I had to bring somebody else in. But on top of that, we were also gonna need a keeper. And obviously, you know me, I like to shop around and find a little bargain. I found this guy, Mario Baraban. Look, he's only just turned 20 years old. He's Croatian. Look, 6'3". Really, really good mentality. Got him for a total of 7.5 million. As you can see, he has some very, very good. He's amazing in the air. Look, aerial reach of 15, jumping reach of 17. Natural fitness is also fantastic. Command in the area is also good. One-on-ones is good. Reflexes is good. Throwing is good. And like I said, he's only 20 years old. He could also improve a lot. So we could have a good keeper down the line. And like I said, pretty cheap keeper. And if you look over here on the side, pretty solid. Then I also went and brought this young guy in. Look, this is more, once again, it's going to be. So here's the thing. Vitinha, about 10 teams offered a 16 million for him. I was like, right, okay, I don't really want to do much with him. I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do with Vitinha, if I wanted to keep him or wanted to make him first choice. They offered, the first initial transfer was like 13 million. I said, actually, I didn't say no. The board came and said, no, that's too little money. We want 16. So then I started offering him out for 16. Like I said, a bunch of teams offering, like, I mean, big teams, like teams in the Premiership, teams in the Serie A, like good teams. And I was like, right, okay, he's bound to go one of them. So I shopped around and I got in Sebastian Pieri. This is going to be his replacement. Look, good young attacking striker. Has a long way to go to improve. We got him for a total of 8 million. He's kind of like an Esposito regen. Really, really good in the air, 6'2", good with both feet, good mentality. Look, he's got 16 jump on reach and 16 heading, and he's only just turned 19. And then what did Vitinha do? Rejected everybody's contract, so then we just all read it. We're keeping Vitinha. But look, at the end of the day, look, it's going to help for squad depth. But this guy is going to be the guy that's going to start for me because he has more potential and I want to get him in scoring goals. And then even out of all the money that we spent, I feel like this is the best player that we brought in. This wee Dutch guy was absolutely fun. I'm not going to lie to you, we were lucky to get him because PSG, Man United and Juventus were offering him. It's the same again, the same thing that always happens. He had a clause in his contract of 10 million. They were offering like 6.5. I just went in straight away and offered the 10 million. So while they were all haggling for the price, I just swooped in and paid the 10 million. And look, 10 million, I would have paid 20 million for this guy. He's fucking disgustingly good. He's only just turned 20, 6'2". Physical stats are absolutely insane. Like, just there's nothing under a 14, and he could improve slightly. Even if he doesn't improve, he's already a monster at 20 years old. And for all the price that we paid for him, he's also left-footed, got an amazing mentality. And like I said, I just wanted to get him in the door. I didn't want to mess around. Look, yes, I could have haggled and probably got him for like maybe, 8.5 million. But then I run the risk because if we say all the offers get accepted, look, he's going to go to PSG or Juventus or a Man United before he comes to us. So I just paid the 10 million and just made sure we secured him. Look, even if we lose him down the line for crazy amounts of money, that's fine. We paid 10 million. If we lose him for 40 or 50 million down the line, which will probably happen because he's so good, I don't mind that. At least we're making a huge profit. And I also went and got us another left back / right back. Once again, is they're going to help with team overall cover because we are going to need squad depth. Is this guy, Youssef El Barabe. Once again, physical stats are absolutely insane. There's nothing under 13. He's only just turned 20. Apparently he's Egyptian. He's a young Egyptian. Like I said, this is going to be for squad depth. We paid a total of 11 million. Once again, he had a release clause. They wouldn't haggle. Like I tried. They would not haggle. They wouldn't move. Look, and he's got very, very good mental stats. Look, can he carry the ball? No, but look, if he's a player, the same way Ruggeri is, look, his dribbling's not amazing, but his crossing is 13 already, which means this will probably be like 15 or 16 by the time he's finished, which I'm perfectly happy with. Not all players have to be amazing at dribbling the ball to play left and right back. They just have to be able to smash the ball into the box. And if he has good crossing, we just so happen to have a big striker that's really good in the air. So like I said, this is going to be one for squad depth. And like I said, it adds competition because we are going to get fatigue and suspensions and injuries. touch wood, hopefully not too many injuries because we're playing a lot of competitions. So squad depth is going to be key for us. Then I went and brought in this guy. This is obviously going to be our Trincao replacement. This young man, 20 years old Brazilian, 20-year-old Brazilian. Did cost us a little bit of money, 12 million, which honestly, I don't think it's too much money. Once again, he's Brazilian, so we had a release clause. Look, here's the things you have to figure out, right? One, really good mentality. 6'3". Very strong with both feet, which is unusual to find. He's got 16 decision making, 16 determination, 16 flair, 15 off the ball, 14 passing, 16 technique, 16 first touch, 15 heading, 15 jump and reach. So once again, adds a wee bit of physicality in our team. I'm probably going to work on his strength a little bit because if he's already big and really good in the air, I kind of want to increase that. I want to get him just jacked up so he can just mess people up in the air. But joking aside, it does like Football Manager does love physicality, and if you can get players that are really physical and good in the air, them players alone can win matches for you. And like I said, we didn't have to pay that much for him. And the guy at the very, very top of our board, the one that cost the most, I wouldn't say this is probably our best player, but probably the one that has probably some of the best potential, cost a total of 15.5 million. Once again, he had a release clause, couldn't really do much about it, but once again, he's also 6 foot, has an amazing mentality, 20 determination. He's going to be our left inside forward. As you can see, very strong on one foot, reasonable with the other, but as long as he's reasonable with the other foot, I'm happy enough. 16 dribbling, 15 finishing, 14 first touch, 16 technique. Composure is fantastic. Decision making is good. Anticipation is good. He's only just turned 19. He's also Portuguese. Physical stats are very, very good. So with all those people in the door and all the people out the door, look, there was a lot of movement and we knew this was going to happen. But like I said, I wanted to try and clear as much of the finances as I possibly could. But the team is looking very, very good. Young team, little inexperienced, but look, that's going to happen. So we Barbarian in nets, Filipovic, the big massive Dutch guy. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. What actually is, no, we're going to have a crack at his name. Hold on, boys. Ian Kraderjajveld. We're just going to call him Big Ian. Look, Big Ian in the middle of the park, Filipovic on one side, Lukovic on the other side. Sultani and the other young guy will probably rotate in and out. I'm not going to lock any two of them in. Cucurella on one side, DeBast, Milo, we were lucky to keep. Nobody came in and offered for him. And I think there's only one team that's kind of offering, there's only Chelsea. It's only Chelsea's off. Everybody keeps offering like 37.5 million. I keep rejecting it. He hasn't said anything. So look, we're going to probably play till January. And then I'm not going to lie, I'm going to try and give him another contract because I do want to get this 41.5 million release clause out of his contract. Look, if I lose him down the line, 60, 70, 80 million, that's fine. Look, it's frustrating, yes, losing players, but I would rather lose him for big money. And he's one I would like to keep for as long as possible. So he's going to be in the middle of the park with the boss. Both of them 6'1", 6'3", and then Pereira, Luis, and Pierre are going to be our front three. Like I said, I did want to switch to a 5 at the back, and this is what I kind of want to play. Obviously, it's going to rotate, or it's going to change a wee bit. Look, one of these Segundo Volantes may switch to the support. We're just going to kind of tweak it as we go along and see how we get on. But look, goals, obviously, trying to win the league is going to be a huge thing because we haven't won the league in 5 years, and I kind of want to bring that back again. Obviously, if you go into competitions this year, we're in the league, we're in the Champions League, we're in the Portuguese Cup, I'm in the Portuguese League Cup. I'm not too sure about why the League Cup works in this league. Somebody can probably explain it to me, but we're going to be in a lot of competitions, and that's why I've went out and strengthened the squad. If you scroll down and look, we have a beefy squad. I'm not going to lie, there's probably a few of these sort of younger players or the ones that are really, really bad. I'm probably either just going to let go before the transfer window or try and get some people loaned out. But look, we have a very, very good squad, and there's going to be a lot of competition for a lot of people fighting. The only thing is, I'm interested to see what the assistant manager is going to pick because we both know it's going to be nothing like this. If we go to quick pick, best 11, honestly, it doesn't really change too much. Who's Lara? I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know who Lara is. It's because he's got experience. The assistant managers, when you do this, the assistant managers always pick players that are experienced. It's sometimes not even your best player. So more than likely, this is going to be the people I'm going to have to lock into the team just to make sure they play. I'm going to lock Baraban in and nets just to make sure Filipovic into the left-hand side because I don't want, what do you call him, the 30-year-old experienced centre-back. I'm terrible with names. I'll remember his name by the time I finish this. DeBast surprisingly doesn't end up in there. He's in like the 12th sub, so DeBast I'm gonna have to lock in. And then Al Badri, I want to lock him in on the right hand side. He's got the one with the most potential and the one that could probably be our best right back. And then Pierre, I want him in up top. The two shadow strikers, we've got like 3 or 4 good people there, so I don't want to lock anybody in. Just want them to kind of rotate and do their own thing. But look, I'm very, very happy with this team. We had a lot of people go out. We made a lot of money, like 200 million, and then we spent what? Like 16 million. So like we saved a lot of money. So hopefully that works towards, like I said, every January and every time we get to the summer transfer window, I'm going to ask the board to increase the percentage. So every time we sell players, we can make a bit more cash. But look, if we hopefully we can get some players in on approach signs as well, that's really, really going to help us out, because obviously we don't have to spend money then. All we have to do is just deal with the wages. And then hopefully, I didn't even check that, what our club info is like. So we got good reputation. Our training facilities are 4.5. Our youth facilities are 4.5. And our youth recruitment is 5-star. So I'm expecting over these 5 seasons for us to get at least 1 or 2 decent players that we can be like, look, I would love to just bring as many players through the youth system as I can. But honestly, my luck with youth players through the youth system is absolutely horrendous. I end up just having to build a good youth system. As you have seen, if you've watched a ton of my rebuilds, I have no luck when it comes to youth recruitment. But look, I'm just hoping we can get a wee bit of luck, just a wee tiny bit. But boys, that's going to be enough rambling. Look, we did a lot in the first season. We had a lot to do. We replaced the staff. We had to gut a whole team. We had to deal with the finances. And then obviously we had to bring a whole team in and just rebuild. This formation, like I said, we're probably just going to tweak this as we go along. And I'll just change a few things here and there. But all in all, I'm very, very happy with the team we built. But that's enough rambling. Let's go play season 1. So boys, we're at the end of season 1. Look, we had a wee bit of movement with regards to transfers in the January transfer window. We'll get into that once I get past all the results and stuff. But look, our main goal is obviously winning the league. We haven't won the league in 5 years, and we need to rectify that. So let's jump over and see how we did in the league first. So we started things off on the first day of the season, absolutely smashing BRG 7-1. Then in our first big test against Benfica, we drew 2 each. Then we got a 2-1 win over Porto, and got a fantastic 1-0 win over Benfica. Then we had a really hard fought win over Porto. We beat them 5-3. And right at the end of the season, we had our biggest win of the season. We ended up beating Gil Vicente 13-0. So then boys, after all those results, we've done it. We've brought the league back to where it needs to be. As you can see over here, this is fantastic. Look, like I said, we haven't won this in 5 years. And we all know with regards to this league, look, if you can beat Porto and you can beat Benfica, you stand a very, very good chance of winning the league. Because the other leagues, if we're being realistic, they're not as good as the top 3. They're really, really not. It's why I love this league, because it's really, really good for developing young players. The same as Holland and France and Germany. Like, you have those 3 or 4 really, really good teams at the top. And then the rest, let's be honest, are like Sunday League teams. So it's great. It's a great league for developing young players. But having us back up here, and I want to try and win this every year. That's my goal, to try and win the league every single year. But if you jump up here, we played 38, I think I'm back in the Premiership, but we played 34 games, 29 wins, 4 draws, and 1 loss. The frustrating thing about the 1 loss, if you go over to the schedule, it was we just won 13-0, and then we get beat 2-1 on the last day of the season. If you scroll up through all the results, we absolutely smashed it and then lost on the last day of the season, which I know means nothing for the league, but like, it's just, we just won 13-0 and then get beat 2-1. But after that, like I said, we drew 4 games, lost 1. We had a 97 goal difference, and we finished on 91 points. Porto was on 76, Benfica was on 76, so we kind of ran away with a little bit. What's that, like a 15-point goal or 15-point difference? The best thing is this: our young striker Thierry, 35 goals in his first season, which is absolutely insane. And that's just in the league. Like, we still have the cups and the Champions League and stuff. So he probably got over like the 40 mark. But then also a fantastic thing to see, we have 3 players in the average ratings. Cucurella's up there with a 7.82. Kajagard, who has been a wee bit of a pain in the ass. He's upset, he's not upset, he's upset, he's not upset. So I'm not going to lie to you, I'm probably more likely going to get rid of him in the summer. I have brought someone in to replace him already. I'll show you that at the start of the next transfer window. And then surprisingly, our backup left back, Big Adam, is in there too, 7.58. But then the next thing is great to see. Obviously, the wee right back that I brought in, Badri, 22 assists he has in the league. Cucurella also has 13. Our keeper is also top of the clean sheets, which is amazing. And then Badri, surprisingly, like I said, our new right back, and he's only like, what, 20? This is the most player of the matches. And then, like I said, if you go up here, we have a 97 goal difference. Obviously, I'll be very disappointed if one of the seasons we don't break 100 goals. I would say probably about 120. So Up here, we have most points per game. As you can see, we're at the top of 2.68. We scored 117. Surprisingly, Porto, not that far behind us. They scored 89, and then Benfica, a bit of a drop off of 66. Most shots, we had 644 shots. Few shots against, we're honestly not that far behind Benfica in second place. Most clean sheets is us with 22, and then fewest conceded is 20. So we conceded 20 goals over the season and scored 117. But boys, this is exactly how we want to start in the league. We have people in the top goal scorers, with people in the average ratings, with people in the assists, and we also won the league after 5 years of not having it. But that's the league out of the way. Let's go and see how we did in the cup. So we started things off in the third round of the PT Cup, where we ended up beating Saint-Trinze 6-0. And in the fourth round, we faced off against Setúbal. We beat them 4-0. Fifth round was a nice 2-0 win over Vicente. In the sixth round, we faced off against Estoril. We beat them 3-0, which then took us straight to the semi-finals. I don't know why there's no quarterfinals in this cup. Look, the cups are very strange in different countries. I don't understand why there's no quarterfinals. Anyway, we faced off against VIC. We beat them 3-1 in the first leg. In the second leg, it was absolutely no different. We just smashed them 4-1 to go through 7-2 in aggregate to first cup final, boys, where we faced off against BRG. We started the scoring through Young Pierre. Luis then made it 2-0. Young Pierre then made it 3. Rajafeld, our young centre back, made 4. Luis then got a second goal of the game from a corner, then got himself a hat trick to make it 6-0. And then to finish things off, Young Pierre got another goal to get his hat trick to make it 7-0, boys. Look, when you go into the cup final, you always expect it to be a pretty close game, no matter who it is. But the fact that we smashed them 7-0 is wild. Pierre got a hat trick, Luis got a hat trick, and then it's good to see our young centre back that we just got also got one. So 7-0 in a cup final, boys. I'm going to take that. So that then took us over to the League Cup. I don't know what way this works. It's in groups and phases. I have no idea. As like I said, it's only the second time I've ever managed in Portugal. But we ended up facing off against Faranese. We beat them 1-0. And in our second match in Group C, we faced off against Estoril. We beat them 2-0. But unfortunately, that's where our cup fun ended. We faced off against Porto in the semi-finals, and they beat us 2-1. Like I said, I don't understand this cup. If somebody who watches a ton of Portuguese football wants to explain it in the comments, please do. I'm always open to know new things. But unfortunately, Porto stopped us in our tracks in the semi-finals. So that then moved us over to in the Champions League. In the league phase, we faced off against Juventus. They beat us 2-1. Then we did bounce back against SK Rapid. We beat them 4-0. We then lost against Girona 2-1. We then unfortunately lost against Fenerbahce 2-1. So that's 4 games and 3 losses. We needed to start turning things around. We did that by absolutely obliterating Inter Milan 6-0. When I seen this, I actually couldn't believe it myself. The fact that we beat them 6-0 after starting so bad. But here, we then also got a fantastic 4-2 win over Celtic, because if you know, Celtic in the Champions League can be a bit of a pain in the ass. Then our last 2 games in the Champions League phase was against very, very good teams. One of them was PSG. They beat us 2-0. That other team is Barcelona. They absolutely obliterated us 4-1. So if you go in the league phase, look, we ended up down here in 21st. Look, I'm pretty happy with this. As long as we stay in the blue and we qualify. Look, obviously I would like to break into the top 8 at some point. That is my long-term goal. But obviously, look, as long as we qualify, so that now takes us to the knockouts. We faced off against Newcastle. We ended up beating them 2-1 in the first leg, which meant going into the second leg, we had everything to play for, but Isaac started off the scoring from the penalty spot. He then added a second from the 20th minute, and unfortunately, that was the only goals of the game. We ended up getting beat 3-2 in aggregate. Look, I'm going to take this as a massive positive. Look, we beat Newcastle in the first match, then they beat us at James's Park. Look, it is what it is. I would have liked to have went through and sneak through to the round of the 16, but look, we won the league, we won a cup, and we made it to the fucking knockouts of the Champions League. I'm very, very happy with this. A very, very good season. So like I said, in January, we did have some movement with regards to players going out and players coming in. So look, we all knew this was going to happen at some point. So Dario Milo, I tried to give him a contract in January. He had 0 interest because he didn't want to sign a new contract due to interest shown on him. PSG wanted him, Man City wanted him, Man United, Real Madrid, AC Milan. So like, we were gonna lose him, and unfortunately we did lose him for his optional fee, or his release clause. I don't know why I'm saying optional fee. It was release clause. So yeah, look, 41 million, yeah, it's a good amount of money. We got it all up front, which does help, but obviously I only get 40% of that. But look, he's a player I didn't want to lose. He's phenomenal. He's Portuguese. He's only 21. He's 6'1". He's everything I wanted in the midfielder. But look, because we couldn't get that out of his contract, we lost him. But like I said, at least we get decent money for him. We then also lost Stefan Lakovic. He was another one that was upset spaghetti because he wasn't playing every single game and then started pissing off the whole team. So I just got him out the door. He went over to Club Bruges for a total of 18 million, which look, between the 41 million we got for Milo and then the 18 million we got for him, look, we made some decent money in January. I was then also finally able to get rid of Vitinha. This took forever. He just kept rejecting everybody and then ended up going at Is it Al Ain? I think that's in the Saudi League. Look, I'm not too sure. I'm not up to date on all my locations in the world. Look, I was never good at geography in school. So, look, I just about know where my country is. Never mind the rest of the world. But look, we ended up getting rid of him for a total of 16 million. It is what it is. Look, I feel like he's a good player. But like I said, he's going to be 32 this year. And it's a good opportunity to cash in on him. So, in that transfer window alone, we made, what, about 75, 80 million? So, the main one, obviously, I was going to need to replace was going to be Milo in the middle of the park. So, I went and found this guy. And look, I'm not going to lie to you. I have no idea how we ended up getting him because it was from Man United and it was actually for pretty decent money. We paid a total of 27.5 million, working its way up to 35. So we got rid of Milo for 42 and then, like I said, got him for 35. This guy is very, very good. So Luke Dugdal, he's English, 6'3", can play with both feet. He has a perfectionist personality. He's also super consistent. Like I said, just a big unit of a player. All his physical stats, there's nothing below 14. He's an absolute unit. He's also got good marking, good passing, 14 and 15. Tackling and technique are 16 and 15. So the same thing as DeBast. He's good going forward. He's good going back. Obviously, they're not fantastic ball carriers. Like, they're dribbling at 15, 16, 17. But I don't really need them to do that. I just need them to be pretty good all round. Have a good engine. And I think for 35 million, I think this dude's an absolute steal. Because obviously, you know my love for big physical players. And the next one I brought in is... Hold on, boys. Idolicio. So we're just going to go with that. Look, this is another one. I'm surprised we got him because we got him from fucking PSG, but they were no interest in playing him, and he was on the transfer list for 17.5 million. And I was like, okay, this dude's ridiculous. The only thing I'm working on is going to be his heading, because obviously, look, he's 6 foot, his jumping reach is pretty decent at 14. This may go up to like 15 at some point, but I would like to get his heading up to like 13, maybe 14. But the only thing is he's close to full potential. So look, even if we can't get his heading up and he's 14 and 12, that's fine. He's playing as one of our outside centre backs, and the good thing is we're playing 3 centre backs. You can kind of cover for each other a little bit. And look, he's phenomenal. 6 foot, can play with both feet. He's only just turned 21, has a really, really good personality. Physical stats are absolutely insane. The dude is 18 balance for a centre back. He also has 17 determination. He's got 14 leadership, so probably future captain down the line. On top of that, his work rate is good, tackling is good, technique is good, marking is good. And like I said, for all the money we paid for him, another one I'm very happy we got in the door. I'm surprised we've literally just stole 2 players from Man United and PSG. So that then moves us over into the player performances. Young Mario Baraban, our young keeper, played 54 games, 41 conceded, which is honestly isn't bad. 31 clean sheets. Then big Filipovic in the back line played 47 games, 2 goals, 4 assists. He's also looking very, very good now. Actually, it's a lie. He's looking ridiculous. And then, of course, Ian Cratchfeld played 46 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. Another one that's looking disgustingly good. And then, of course, young Idolicio played out on the right-hand side. He played 22 games. Obviously, we only brought him in January, but he had 1 goal, 2 assists, and an over 7 rating. Then big Crazy Her out on the left-hand side, Cucurella. Not going to lie, the amount of times this man tried to leave us in January was wild, but we didn't get a good offer. Obviously, look, I know he's only worth 14 to 17 million, and look, at some point we're probably going to have to replace him because he is going to be 33 this year, so it might be this window. Who wants him? Please say the Saudi League. Boys, we may be getting them out the door. But he played 40 games, 5 goals, 29 assists. And then, of course, young Yusuf El Barade out on the right-hand side played 53 games, so this is the manager kind of likes him as well. 7 goals, 28 assists for his first season. Look, obviously I know, look, we're playing the Portuguese league. I expect us to have a lot of goals and assists, but look, for his first season, he did very, very well. And then, of course, big DeBas playing in the middle of the park, played 52 games, 17 goals and 8 assists. And then Dugdale, obviously one we brought in January, only played 21 games, 4 goals, 5 assists. And then, of course, big Kjærgaard. I think, I don't know how to pronounce the second name. When the A and E is together, it's very confusing. If you're English, you just don't know what the fuck's going on with the letters. Why are they all stuck together? Look, anyway, a very, very good player. But I'm not going to lie, a fucking crybaby. Really is. He was upset every time somebody wanted. So when Mijlo wanted to go and leave the club, he got upset. Was like, why did you sell Mijlo? This is one of my issues with Football Manager. And I love this game. You know I love this game. But this is one of my big issues with Football Manager. If a player leaves, right, and he's the one that wants to leave the club, then why is he upsetting the club by going, why did you sell Mijlo? I should be able to turn around to the players and go, I didn't want to sell him. He wanted to leave. He has a release clause. They activated it. We can't do anything about it. I don't want to sell him. No. But what happens? You end up apologizing for somebody wanting to leave. It's stupid. I hope it is one thing they do fix about Football Manager. The dialogue and like the chat that you have with your players can be a little stupid sometimes, like it doesn't make any sense. But look, the big man played fantastic. 50 games played, 23 goals, 9 assists, and a 7.4 for the season. He is one, honestly, I'm probably going to move on just because he keeps pissing the team off for no reason, and I do have someone to come in and replace him. We got pretty cheap. I think they'll like him, but I'll show you that in the next transfer window. And then the man in beside him, young Andre Luis, this was one I was actually very, very interested to see how well the kid did. 46 games played, 23 goals, 6 assists, and a 7.3 for the season. And of course, another one we were all interested to see was Sebastiano Pieri. Look, who wants him? Roma? Not a chance. Played 53 games, 47 goals, 5 assists, and a 7.46. Look, I know he's young, little inexperienced, but look, he had a phenomenal season. And it says he could still improve a lot. Of course, we do also have fantastic players like Suzuki and other ones I hope get a lot of football. He only started one game, but he had 48 appearances off the bench, 4 goals, 1 assist, which honestly I'm perfectly fine with because he's a good player. I like a little bit of rotation, but the only thing is I would like him to start a few more games. And then one player was very, very upset he didn't get more football was João Pieri. This is another one. Look, absolutely phenomenal. Wanted to get a bit more football, but obviously the two players playing in the shadow striker role are just always fit, and Pieri was always fit, so it's just unfortunate. But like, he should have at least got some football off the bench. Which means, boys, at the end of season 1, look, we won the league, we won the cup, we got to the knockouts of the Champions League. We did very, very well. So like I said, looking at, if I always do this at the end of every season, I evaluate the team. Keeper, super happy with. Backline, super happy with. Cucurella is probably one I'm probably going to move on because like I said, he's going to be what, like 33 this year, 33, 34 in and around there. Ardri had a very, very good season. Guard, I'm probably more likely going to get rid of, but like I said, I do have a replacement for him already coming in. And like I said, I think left back is going to be our focus. I would like to bring someone in the same as Badri, or probably a wee bit more well-rounded, like someone with a wee bit better ball carrying, but I do want those physical stats, like the agility, the balance, the explosive speed. I want my wing backs to be super quick, but as you know, those players get very, very expensive. We're just going to have to see. I also don't even know how much money we've got. We've got 9 million. I don't know if this is our actual full transfer budget. This could be the money left over from this season. I'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, I'll bring you back and show you if we get our initial transfer budget, or maybe that's just it. Like, we did well in the Champions League, so I think the board would give us a wee bit more than 9 million. But look, we just don't know. We'll have to see. But look, all we have to do is, obviously, I have a player coming in the shadow striker role, so left back is going to be our focus. But all in all, boys, a fantastic first season. Let's jump over into season 2. So boys, then moving over into season 2, the 9 million that we got was actually our initial transfer budget. But on the plus side, I was able to go to the board in the summer and ask them to increase the transfer revenue for every time we sell somebody. So we're now up to 55%, up from 40. So in another 14 years, we should be able to get it up to 100%. But joking aside, it probably should take us, what, another 2 or 3 windows, like transfer windows, before we can get that up to 100%, which is a little frustrating because we are selling players for some decent cash and I would be able to bring in better players, but we just don't have the money. But in this window, we actually did pretty well. So let's go and look at the players that we brought in and the players that we sold. So one of the first ones out the door was big Cucurella. Like I said, he's still a fantastic player, but he's 33, about to be 34. And you know, in Football Manager, like, people's stats just start to massively degrade as soon as they get into sort of like early to mid 30s. So look, we cashed in on it. We got a total of 15 million. Look, I would have liked a wee bit more money, but he also wasn't worth a lot. He had a fantastic season last year, but it was just time to cash in. And the next one out the door was Adam Asnou, our other left back, which is wild because we got rid of him for a total of 13.2 million, and then we only got rid of Cucurella for 15, who I honestly feel is a bit of a better player, but all in all, just under 30 million for 2 players. So the next one out the door was Thiago Dijalo, another one that's going to be 32, and I just want to cash in. He is away back to France because, as you know, he used to play for Lille. He's away back to Lyon. We got 11.2 million for him. And the next one out the door was Matthias Kursgaard. Look, this is one I didn't overly want to sell, but like I explained, he just upsets the team constantly, and I can't have players that every time we sell somebody, he gets upset, then upsets the whole team. It's going to disrupt the whole function of the team. So look, we got rid of him. Arsenal come in, offered us 10 million. He's going to go there, probably be more likely be a squad player for them. But all in all, look, we got a crybaby out of the team and got some cash. And obviously there's a few areas of the team I did want to bolster. One of them was going to be centre back. Obviously with Dijalo going, it left us a little short, which means we only had 4 centre backs. So I went and brought in Geraldo Moreira Silva. It's a very, very good Brazilian name, by the way. Look, another one, 6 foot, physical stats, really, really good. Can play with both feet. He's only 19. He also costs us a total of 5 million, which is an absolute steal. He also has a ton of potential, has a fantastic mentality. And yeah, he's going to get a decent amount of football. So then the next one I brought in was Andrea Niccoloni, a little Italian. He's going to be our left back. There was a guy I tried to bring in from Fulham. He's absolutely fantastic. Remember to show you, I'll show him after this. He was unreal, but they wanted like 75 to 80 million. Could we afford it? Probably, if I get rid of a couple people. But look, I don't want to get my pants pulled down for the price. And like I said, financially with the club, we're still trying to get the club back to where we have a really, really good bank balance. So I don't want to just go and buy a player with a bunch of installments for like future fees and stuff. I don't want to put the club in any more debt. So I got this little guy. He costs a total of 5.5 million over from Barry. Look, really, really good player. Good pace, good acceleration. Look, first touch is solid. His dribbling and crossing aren't amazing. But like I said, beggars can't be choosers. He also has a lot of room to improve. So it's something I'm going to work on. He has a fantastic mentality. His work rate is really, really good. Technique, passing and tackling are really good. He's only just turned 19. And for all the money we paid. And the next one I brought in was Marcus Vinicius. This is one I had on my shortlist. This was more of like a wee bit of an impulse buy. He was on my shortlist. He was upset. He's spaghetti. There was a couple of clubs interested. So I just wanted to swoop in and get him. Obviously, with us getting rid of Kjærsgaard over the Arsenal, we were a little short in the shadow striker role, so I need to bring someone in to basically play in a wee bit of rotation there. Look, he's not going to be guaranteed first team player, but look, we didn't really obviously pay that much for him. 10 million, working its way up to 12.2. He's got a fantastic mentality, can play with both feet. 21, 6'1", pretty decent all round, and like I said, for all the price we paid for him. Then the next one I brought in was a centre back, Angelo Fabrizzi. We seem to be bringing in a lot of Italians, but they just seem to be really good. Look, 6'2" centre back, play fantastic at both feet, costs a total of 13 million, which once again is a steal for the type of player he is. He's another one, kind of like the wee Brazilian that we brought in. Look, very, very good all round, not phenomenal in the air, but look, he's a wee bit taller, which does help, but it gives us a lot of rotation in the squad. In the main one I brought in, this costs us a little bit of a pretty penny because he did have a buyout clause. This is the one that I was talking about that I basically confirmed the signing off from about April last year. So this is part of last year's transfer budget, is this guy, Sharif Adani. This is going to be the one that plays as our shadow striker, like the main one. Look, 20 years old, just turned 20 years old, 6 foot, strong on one foot, very strong with the other foot, fantastic mentality, physical stats are insane. Mental stats are fucking fantastic. He's also really good in the air. You know my love for players that are good in the air. He's got good technique, good dribbling, good first touch, and like I said, he's only 20 years old, but the being able to play fantastic at both feet was a huge one. Did cost a total 30 million, did have a buyout clause, but look, I was happy to pay it because he has the potential to be really, really good. He still has potential now, and if he gets a little bit better than this, that's pretty good. So with everybody in the door and everybody out the door, this is what the team is going to look like for season 2. Barbani, Lepovic, our young Dutch centre back, Krajeveld, and then Idelicio is going to be our 3 centre backs. The young Italian guy, he's going to slip in at left back, and then Bardry is going to stay in there, and then Dugdale, I keep calling it Dugdale and DeBast in the middle park, 2 big physical players, and then Adana and Andrea Luis. They're honestly, if you go in and click on these 2, they're very, very similar. I'll actually go in, where is the comparison? Like if you go in and compare them, they're very, very similar players. And if Adana can play anything like Luis played last year, I'm very, very happy. I would say Adana's probably a little bit better, but he's also a little bit younger. So I don't know who's got the better potential, but it's nice to have 2 players that are pretty similar. And then Pierre, of course, up top. Hopefully his injury, it's only for 12 days. That's okay. I want to see him smash a bunch more goals. Obviously, we're going to give him this season, see how well he progresses, because he hasn't really got any better, and he played all of last year, but some people take a wee bit longer to progress. And look, he scored a bucket load of goals for us last year, so the team is looking very, very good. Obviously nothing I overly want to change with the tactic. Obviously the tactic, the corner routine, the updated database, and the save file will be in the pinned comments down below when this video goes live. So if you're watching this now, you can go and pick up the save. Obviously watch to the end of the video and see how we get on. We're going to build an absolute banger of a team. Obviously, like I said as well, we do have a lot more. Like if you look at our squad depth now, I've cut the squad down a decent amount, but I'm very, very happy with the squad. This is the type of squad that I want. We have like 5 to 6 good centre backs. We have a lot of cover in midfield. We've got a lot of cover up top as well. Hopefully the likes of, whereas a Pierre and stuff like this gets a wee bit more football this year. It was very, very disappointed he only had 2 substitute appearances, no starts, so hopefully he gets a wee bit more football this year. But all in all, boys, look, I expect us once again to be up there fighting for the title, if not winning the title. Just smash it in the cups like we did last year, and then obviously in the Champions League, I would like to get to the round of the 16. Our team is very, very young. We have to also remember that, like, our team is very, apart from DeBast I would say our team's probably what, 22, 23 and under, which is kind of wild. DeBast is like the old man of the team, and he's only like what, 26. But boys, look, obviously once again, January, if there's anybody good in the approach of signs, I'll bring them through and then you'll see them in the summer transfer window. And the youth intake hasn't been fantastic. Last year's was okay. We got 2 decent-ish players. One of them is this guy, little Rafael Pinto. Obviously, he's only just turned 16, but look, all in all, pretty good potential, good decision making, good heading, good technique. He can play with both feet. He's also Portuguese. Like I said, once again, he's only 16. Playing a star and a half, has anywhere from 4 to 5 star potential. Whether he gets there or not is another thing, but all in all, pretty solid. And then the other one was this guy, Cesar, another one. He's 16-year-old. Portuguese, but the only bad thing is he has a bad mentality and he has low determination, so this is more than likely going to be one we just kind of push out the door. Look, you know my hatred for players that have really bad determinations, and then usually bad mentality usually means they have bad determination as well, which means that it's not going to help them get any better. But all in all, boys, look, hopefully we can get a good youth intake in April and we just get through one of these. Look, we have 5-star youth recruitment through one of these 5 seasons. I would just love to get one absolute banger player, hopefully not in the 5th season, because I would like to get him ideally if you could get him in like the 3rd season and then you bring him through for a season and then just give him a wee bit of football. But look, I just want to bring one player through and just see what he's like in the first team. That's only ever happened to me once, and it was in the Ajax save. I think it was a kid called De Rouge. Was a wee right back. He was technically a midfielder, but I turned him into like a complete wing back. He was a fantastic, the only player that I've ever brought through into the first team that just turned 17 years old, because he was phenomenal. But anyway, that's part of another save. Look, boys, that's enough messed about. Let's go play season 2. So boys, we're at the end of season 2 once again. In January we had some people leave. A person honestly I didn't really want to sell, because yeah, he's a very good player. He also had what I would class as a very low release clause. I did try to get out of his contract, but he wouldn't sign a new contract because of the interest shown in him. So we'll jump in, I'll show you the people left in January, and then we'll hop into the results. So the person that ended up leaving was Matt Filipovic, our Austrian, or Australian, I'll just call him Austrian, Australian centre back. This is one I didn't want to. He is world class. Like, he is a world class centre back. I know it says up here a star Premier League player, but he is a world class centre back. And yeah, he played for us. Look, a little disappointing, because the worst part is, like I said, because of the release clause of 37 million, I could not get this out of his contract when I was signing him. It was locked in. Then I couldn't get him to sign another contract. I was literally going to wait till January, because we had just signed him. I was going to wait till January, offer him another contract, get that out, and then literally everybody and their mother. I'm actually massively surprised, because Bayern Munich, PSG, Juventus, AC Milan, Barcelona, and Spurs were in, and he ended up going to Spurs out of all those teams. But anyway, look, we ended up losing him. A massive hit the team, because like I said, if you look over here on the left hand side, he is ridiculously good. So obviously we had to go and replace him. And one of the first people I brought in was this young guy, Lewis Herbert. He surprisingly had a release clause for an English player at an English club of 21 million. So we get rid of our centre back for 37. I'll say we get rid of him. He left us. And then we signed him for 21 million. Look, very good player. Obviously not just as good as the guy we get rid of, but probably a little different, a little better in the air. Probably has probably a wee bit more potential. He can improve slightly. And like I said, for 21 million, he's 6'5". Physicals are very good. Mentals are very good. Wee bit more of like a no-nonsense centre back. His passing's only 8 and his vision's only 8. But look, beggars can't be choosers. We're in the Portuguese league, and I think we did very well to replace him. So obviously with that out of the way, look, our main goal is once again try and win the league every year. I want to win the league every year. I think we have a good enough team, and in this league, I'm not going to lie to you, Porto's team is disgustingly good. I tried to sign a wee guy in January, a striker. We were getting him for like 35 to 40 million. Then Porto jumped in, PSG jumped in, and then the money just kept going up and up. It ended up working out. Porto ended up buying him for 87 million, working its way up to like 102 million. He is disgustingly good. I'll show you how good Porto's team is after this. They have some ridiculous wonder kids, but like I said, with regards to the league, this is what I want to keep doing. Just keep winning the league every year. The cups, obviously want to just keep being consistent. I would like to win 1 or 2 of those every single year. And then the Champions League, like I said, my goal was to get to the round of 16 this year. We got to the knockouts last year. Want to get to the round of 16 or even just push a wee bit higher. But all in all, boys, let's go see how we did in the league first. So we started things off on the first day of the season very well against Chavez. We beat them 8-1. We then drew 3 each with Benfica. We then smashed Porto 3-0. Then Benfica managed to beat us 2-1. But even with all those results a little up and down, we still managed to retain the league, which is absolutely fantastic. It was very close this year. As you can see, we played 34 games, 27 wins, 4 draws. We had 3 defeats. The Benfica one, I kind of get. The BRG, we beat them 4-3. They beat us 4-3, and then VTSC beat us 3-2. So like very, very close games, but like I think those other 2 games we should be winning. And then we had 62 goal difference, which I feel like is a wee bit down from where we were last year. And then we had 85 points. As you can see, Porto is on 82, Benfica on 70. So like I said, Porto's team is no joke. I'll show you some of the players that they have. So this is their defensive midfielder. It's only 21 years old. Salifa Manga is absolutely disgusting as well. Like he's a world-class DM playing in the Portuguese league. Then they also have this guy, Marcos Zetov, one of their inside forwards, who once again is absolutely disgusting and still has room to improve, so probably could hit world class. Then they have a really, really good young centre back in Mariano Sayas. Then they have this young guy, Lars Erik Melby. This is one they actually swiped from us, which is a little frustrating. We put in the offer, scouted him, and then they put an offer in straight away, matching. It only cost us like 4.7 million. I wanted to have 2 good keepers because our other keeper is about to run out of contract, but he is very, very good. But I'll show you the player that yeah, they pretty much priced us out of. And it's, yeah, this guy, Eric Kouabali. You've probably seen this. I put this up on the community page asking people, would you have spent 80 million? Because at that time I was trying to bargain a wee deal. Look, he is going to be world class. Like he's could improve significantly. He's going to be a 5-star player, world class player. And then they went in and offered, like I said, 92. I thought it was 82. It's 92 million up front, working its way up to 103 million. 103 million. We're in the fucking Portuguese league. Where is Porto getting all this money? And then I went and checked the players that they've sold over the last like 3 years. Yeah, they've made like 600 million by selling young players. So this one, a little frustrating because I was going to get him for like 45 to 48 million. And I was like, that's a fucking steal for the type of player that he is. He would have been our future striker because, yeah, I ideally go for players that are really big, good in the air, but like, look how fucking good he is. But this one, a little upset about. But honestly, joking aside, this is what I want. I want competition. I really hope Benfica buy some players, they start coming up, because I want like that 3-horse race. I don't want just me winning the league every year by a breeze, win it by like 10 points. Yeah, it's fun. Look, everybody has their own thing that's fun. For me, I like the struggle. I like when it's difficult. I want competition. I want our team to be tested instead of just steamrolling the league every year. So it's good that Porto has some good players. Like I said, we beat them right at the end of the season, and if we wouldn't have done that, they probably could have ended up pipping the league. But look, we have nobody in the top goal scorers. I think our wee striker ended up getting injured because he didn't play a lot of games. Suzuki ended up playing quite a lot, but we have Doug Dale and we have Badri in there for the average ratings. Of course, Kouabali is in there just to torture me. And then Badri and Dabast are in there for assists. Then we also have Doug Dale in there for player of the matches. Our keeper is joined first for clean sheets. And then our young centre back, Delicio, is in there for yellow card. So either we didn't really score as many goals. I think we got, 117 goals last year? Yeah, we only scored 90 this year, which is a wee bit of a disappointment. But most points per game was absolutely fantastic. We scored 90 goals. And then we had most shots for... We're probably just behind Porto. Yeah, we're just behind Porto. Few shots against, which means our defense was really good. Most clean sheets, we're just 1 behind Porto, considering, like I said, they have a very, very good team as well. And then fewest conceded, we had 28 to Porto with 21. So probably, look, honestly, losing our fucking world-class centre-back in January did not help things. Then I had to bring a new centre-back in. He's inexperienced, takes a wee bit of time to get going. We probably would have maybe not conceded just as many goals. But all in all, look, a fantastic season in the league. We won the league. Porto's given us competition, and that's all we can ask for. But let's jump over, see how we did in the cups. So we started things off in the PT Cup 3rd round in a very, very close game. We smashed that team I'm not even going to try and pronounce, 8-1. In the 4th round, we had another very, very close game. We ended up beating San Martino 7-0. In the 5th round, we actually had a reasonably close match. We ended up beating a team 5-2 called Academica. As you can see, young Suzuki got himself 4 goals, so a good game for him. In the 6th round, we faced off against Gil Vicente. We beat them 2-0. In the semi-finals, we faced off against a hard team in Benfica. We beat them 3-1 in the first leg. In the second leg, we then managed to beat them 2-1, which means, boys, we go to the cup final. Where we faced off against Porto, we started off the scoring through our centre-back Fabrici. And boys, that was the only goal of the entire game. We ended up winning 1-0, but look, it doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win. That's all that counts. And like that was a pretty good shot for a fucking centre-back. And he's all, I didn't realise how big he is till I seen him in the replays. I know he's 6'5", but he looks massive compared to everybody else. And he's actually a pretty good footwork, which is surprising considering he's a wee bit more of a no-nonsense centre-back. But that's fantastic. It means we've got the league in the bag. and then we also have one of the cups in the bag, but we do have another cup, which is once again in the League Cup. I don't understand the whole group thing, like I said, the first season. But anyway, we started things off against Casapia. We beat them 5-0. In the second match, we got a draw against VTSC, which then moved us on to the semi-finals because apparently the quarterfinals don't exist in this competition. We faced off against Benfica again and beat them 2-1, which takes us, boys, to another cup final, where we once again faced off against Porto. Once again, we start off the scoring through our new signing, Adani, where once again it was the only goal of the game. Look, I don't care if we win by 1 goal or 3 goals. We also had a man sent off in the 85th minute, so to get the cup final in the bag after having a man sent off is fantastic. That means we've won the league, we've won the PT Cup, we've won the League Cup, which now moves us on to Champions League, boys, where we started things off in the league phase against Juventus. We beat them 2-0. Then the next match against Steaua Bucharest, we beat them 4-0. We had a nice 1-0 win over Olympic Marseille. Then we also had a fantastic 4-2 win over Liverpool. We then also managed to beat Napoli 1-0. We then dropped points against Feyenoord, drawn with them 1 each. And then after a nice little undefeated run in the Champions League, we ended up beat 2-1 by Roma. But we bounced back with a fantastic 1-0 win over Atletico Madrid. And that was our final league phase match, where we ended up qualifying second. Like I said, I knew it was going to take us a wee bit of time, but I wanted to break into this top 8. I didn't think it was going to be so soon. We just had a fantastic season. Getting that win over Liverpool and the win over Napoli just catapulted us up. Good to say AC Milan up here, they usually fall off pretty hard in most of my saves. But like, you have Real Madrid, Newcastle, Liverpool, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Bayern, Juventus and Ajax are all in here. But here's the thing about the Champions League, it doesn't matter. I've seen teams go into the knockouts and end up winning the whole competition. You just maybe had a couple of bad games. But for us to finish second is fantastic. It means we now miss the knockouts and go straight to the round of 16. We faced off against Omega Luke's favourite team in Rennes. We beat them 2-0 in the first leg. We then give them a good smashing in the second leg, 4-2 to go through 6-2 in aggregate, which takes us to the quarterfinals. Bayern Munich slapped us 2-0, which meant going into the second leg, we had our work cut out first. We started very, very well. We opened up the scoring through young Pieri. They hit back after half-time with through Dorku. They then got another one 10 minutes later, but we hit back through young Silva. But unfortunately, in the 71st minute, they got another goal to put us out of the Champions League. But at least we had a nice fall batch in this one. Look, it is unfortunate to go out like the first leg. If we wouldn't have got absolutely trounced in the first leg, we give a good account of ourselves against a very, very good Bayern Munich team. I'm kind of a little frustrated. Like I said, getting beat 5-2, most people will take a massive, I am taking a positive from this, but like I said, I'm also frustrated because of the first leg. If that first leg was like a 2-1 or like a 1-0, like, we would have given ourselves a really, really good fighting chance, maybe put them on the back foot a little bit. But look, we've got a very, very young team. We're just coming up. They're all playing together, and we did very, very well. We made it the whole way to the quarterfinals. Obviously, us qualifying second was amazing because we missed the knockouts straight to the round of 16 where we got Rennes. If we're being realistic, we got a very, very good draw, and then we made it to the quarterfinals. So look, we won the league, won both of the cups, and made it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I'm going to take no negatives from this season at all. We played fantastic. So then moving over into the player performances, young Mario Baraban. Be interesting to see if he does progress anymore. It says he's close to his full potential, so we may need to look into bringing in our keeper. But all in all, look, I think he's pretty decent. I don't want to, he's not a priority, but I would like to maybe try and find someone a little better down the line. Played 51 games, 44 conceded, 23 clean sheets though. Moving over into our centre backs, as you can see, young Ian Krajaveld. Played 49 games, 11 goals and 4 assists. A very, very good season for centre back. And of course, young Herbert, who we just brought in January, played 21 games, 7 off the bench, 3 goals, 1 assist. And then of course, in beside him, Adelicio, 47 games played, 0 goals, but 3 assists. My only worry with Adelicio is the fact that he doesn't enjoy the big games, and now he's inconsistent, which is a little it's not, if I'm being realistic, it's not fantastic. So at some point, I feel like he might end up being a backup and I bring someone in. But look, the team's playing well, but like, just the inconsistencies and doesn't enjoy the big matches is a bit of a worry. But for the meantime, it's not hurting the team right now, but I will be looking to maybe replace him at some point. And of course, we did have 2 other centre backs, ideally with us playing 3 imagine playing 5 centre backs. Us playing 3 centre backs. We do have 2 other good players, and one of them, Fabrizi, of course, scored that absolute banger in the cup. Like I said, 6'2", he's a big boy. He looks bigger than that on the park, but he scored 12 or started 12 games, 24 off the bench, which is fantastic because it means he's getting a ton of football. 1 goal, 1 assist. And of course, the other young centre back that we brought in, Silva, played 31 games, 22 off the bench, 10 goals and 6 assists. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, he may start in front of Delicio next year because he seems to be very, very consistent. He scores a lot of goals, he gets a lot of assists, and it's strange. For assists, I don't know what way it works. Obviously, like, we're not run out from the back, so maybe it's like we flick ons from corners or something. But look, a very, very good season. So he might end up replacing a Delicio next year. And our young left back played 28 games. Don't know if this was due to, like, I'm guessing he probably had an injury because he was out for a little, yeah, he had a broken lower leg that kept him out for 4 months, which didn't really help for the season. Played 28 games, 2 goals, 10 assists. Look, 12 goal involvements in 28 games is not bad, but like, unfortunate that such a bad injury too in his first season. And the young man over on the other side, El Badre, played 40 games, 5 goals, 14 assists, a wee bit less than what he got last year, but look, all in all, played very, very well. Who wants him? We can fight off both of those teams because they're not getting them. Then we also have young Haji Sultani, a one that's been in the team for a long, long time. They ended up banning him before I even brought him in the team. Surprisingly, played most of his games a wing back on the right hand side, which is a little strange because, as you can see, he can't carry the ball very well. But look, started 12 games, 14 off the bench, 5 goals, 2 assists. But look, I'm here for squad rotation, and look, I want my players to play as much as possible. Then the other Sultani, I just noticed we have 2 Sultanis in our team. This one's probably upset his spaghetti because he didn't play just as many games. Is he actually upset because of that? No, he wants a new contract. I was just about to say, because he started 34 games. Ideally, with our left back getting hurt, this guy's filled in. But that's one of the reasons why I bought him, because he can play on both sides. He's good with both feet, and he's good for cover. So it's just as well big brain strats. Then I'm 34 games played, 18 off the bench, and 10 assists. I will be giving them a new contract. Then moving over to the boys in the centre of the park, DeBas played 46 games, 6 goals, 13 assists, and an over 7 rating. Ideally, look, isn't as good as what he usually is in most saves, but look, it's just, he keeps playing well. Then the other big fella in beside him, Dugdale, had a lot of people offer from in January, like Man United come in for him, AC Milan come in for him, PSG come in for him. I rejected them all. He said nothing. That's a couple of transfer windows. People have tried to snipe him, but he doesn't get upset and doesn't want to move, which is fantastic. Played 51 games, 27 goals and 9 assists and a 7.4 for the season. So a fantastic season for him. Then the new man, Adani, we had a bit of a strange interaction with him. So he ended up getting sent off in one of his games. And then he came to me, why am I being fined? I was like, this is the criteria, the code of conduct for everybody at the team. He says, I feel like I'm being singled out. You get fucking sent off. And then he wanted me to treat him different to other players. So I pretty much told him to piss off at that point. But he's not upset anymore, so we're okay. 42 games played, 13 goals, 9 assists. Look, would have wanted a wee bit more from him because he is the shadow striker. So I would like to see a few more goals from him next year. Then the young man playing on beside him, young Andre Luis, who I never have any problems with ever. I've noticed a lot of our players are very, very inconsistent, but they don't seem to be inconsistent. I don't know what it is. We seem to be doing okay even with the inconsistent players. 49 appearances, 22 goals, 9 assists, and a 7.2 for the season. One thing that is a little frustrating is the fact that João Pierre, once again, is not getting any football. I'm not going to lie. If he's not going to get any football, I feel like I'm just going to loan him out. For the next couple of seasons, I feel like I'm going to loan him out because I think this kid has the potential to be absolutely disgusting. But if he's not getting football, he's not going to progress because obviously our 2 shadow strikers are just always fit. So like he's just not getting any football there. And Suzuki, who surprisingly seemed to have started most of the start of the season. The assistant manager didn't seem to put Pierre in till like after Christmas. I don't know if this was due to like injuries or not, but he played 35 games, 20 off the bench, 21 goals and 14 assists, so he played very, very well. Then also one that I thought would have got a wee bit more football would have been Marcus Vinicius. He only started 9 games off the bench, no goals, no assists. Another one, but here's the thing, if I loan too many players out, it's going to cut the squad depth, and then, knowing my luck, I'll loan those 2 players out, then we'll get bad injuries, and then our squad depth is absolutely tanked. So I'll probably loan either Pierre or Vinicius out. I'll probably more likely loan Pierre out. I think he's got a lot more potential, and Vinicius can play in a couple of positions, so I'd like to keep him around the club. Then, like I said, young Pierre, look, he only started 23 games, 2 off the bench, 12 goals, 1 assist. He's one I don't understand why he didn't start the season. So next year, I may lock him in. But then there's also the fact of, is he good enough to lead our front line? I think he showed last year he scored a lot of goals, but then he slowly just, as you can see, all these going down. Obviously, he's just coming back from an injury. But like, it says he does have the potential, could improve a lot. He's playing a 2.5 star, can get anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5. If he gets the 3.5 star, another star betterness, I feel like he'd be a good player, but I think he may be a backup. So I may either give Suzuki a smash next year and start him, or we just bring in another like disgustingly good striker. But I feel like all in all, the team has played very, very well. We've built something absolutely fantastic. The only thing I'm upset about is losing our world-class centre-back. But look, I get it. It's more, I think it's more the money I lost them for, the fact that I lost. Look, you know when you play in the Portuguese league, you're gonna lose players at some point, because when the Premiership comes calling, or the fucking Saudi League, or like any of the other big leagues, especially the Premiership, you're gonna lose those players. If I would have lost him for 16 million, I'd be like, right, okay, it sucks, but we got good money for him. But the fact that we lost him for 37 million, I think that stings a wee bit more than losing him. But look, I'm very, very happy with this team. If I'm being brutally honest, for us to ideally, look, I want to try and win the Champions League. That's my goal. One of my goals is to win the Champions League, stay dominant in the league. I feel like we need a new keeper. De Bast is kind of at his peak. Our left back isn't fantastic, and Pierre might need replaced. I say replaced, but then I might just put Suzuki in here, and then it saves us having to ban our player, because Suzuki is disgusting. Like, he really is. Or I play Pierre in here, but Suzuki also has 16 finishing as well. He could also improve significantly. So it's either going to be Pierre or Suzuki is going to start in here next year. Priorities, I feel like left back and the Segundo Volante. The keeper I'm reasonably happy with for another couple of years, but these two positions I feel like I need a wee upgrade in De Bast, and anybody that knows me knows my love for Zeno De Bast in this game, but unfortunately we just didn't get a good version of him, and he's at his peak, and he's not going to get any better, because I want someone as good as Doug Dale. Obviously trying to find someone at 6'3", very, very good all round is going to be expensive, but I kind of want someone nearly as good as him. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't even know how much money we've got. 43 million, which is a lot better than what it was last year. We got like 9.5 million. So they're the positions that I ideally would like to strengthen. Left back and the Segundo Volante are a priority. Ideally, I think Segundo Volante is the number one priority, then a left back, then a keeper. So we're just going to have to go and have a wee look around. But all in all, boys, an amazing second season. Won the league, done both of the cups, and we got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I can't ask any more from the boys. Well, winning the Champions League would have been fantastic, but look, our team's just not just there yet. But look, it could be in a couple of seasons, because we do have some good young players coming in. But look, very, very happy with the boys. They did amazing. But that's enough rambling. Let's jump over into season 3. So boys, then moving over into season 3, look, we had a player go that I didn't want to lose, but the money was just way too good. And that person was Luke Dugdal, or Duggity Digdal, whatever the fuck you want to call him. Look, a player I don't want to lose. 6'3", very, very good all round. My plan was to keep him to be the future of our midfield, and then replace De Bast. And what did I end up doing? Keeping De Bast and replacing Dugdal. But look, the money was absolutely insane. If you go up to this, they give us a total of 88 million, working its way up to 114 million. We paid 27.5 million for him. Look, obviously, most people I know are probably going to go Mark, but he's such a good player. But you've also got to remember, I want to clear the finances of this club. The money's insane. The money's 114 million for a player we paid 27 million for. I couldn't turn it down. Then the only person we got rid of out of the squad was Eduardo. He wanted to leave, go and get first team football, because he wanted to get into the national setup. I completely understand. He's hardly played. We got a total of 21 million for him from FLA. So between that, we made like 140 something million. So one of the people I was going to bring in to replace De Bast and keep our big midfielder that ended up leaving us, I brought this guy in, Serkan Zivam. As you can see, 6'4", so he would have been 6'4", and then Doug Dard would have been 6'3", both absolute units. But the thing is as well, he's got 14 marking along with 14 passing, but then he's got 15 tackling and 13 technique, so he can pass the ball, he can tackle, he can mark, he's got good technique. On top of that, very, very high determination. 6'4", can play well with both feet, fantastic mentality, also super consistent. His physical stats are saying he's got 20 aggression, may get sent off a little bit every now and then, but look, we like people with a bit of spice about them. His bravery's good, concentration good, determination's good, teamwork and work rate are solid. And like I said, we only had to pay a total of 8 million for him. You know my love for trying to find like little hidden gems. I'm still upset that we sold Doug Ford, but like 114 million's insane. So this is going to be the guy that probably plays him beside De Bast. So then I also went and picked up this young man. This is going to be obviously for squad depth, or I may honestly loan him out. He was on my short list. He was upset. He's spaghetti for a really, really good price. 14.5 million. Look, he's very, very good all round, can play with both feet. He's only just turned 22. Good mentality, consistent, enjoys the big games. A little injury prone, but like I said, if he's standing around the squad, he's not going to be a starter. He's going to be more likely play as like a squad player, but very, very good player. Mental stats are absolutely insane. 14 anticipation, 14 composure, 15 decision making, determination and flair are also 15. Off the ball is 14. So on top of that, like I said, for like 14 million, a really good deal. So then this is where things probably get a little bit more spicy. I brought us a new keeper, but as you can tell just by looking at him, he's absolutely fantastic. He's only 22 as well. This did cost us a total of about 30 million. It says 29.5, but it actually went up to 30. Look, an amazing keeper. Strong on one foot, very strong with the other foot, got a really, really good mentality. Like I said, he's only 22 years old. Just look at his aerial, his communication, and his command in the area. 16, 14, and 14. Kicking a 16, one-on-ones of 16, reflexes of 17, anticipation is 18. Like I said, strong on both feet, and like I said, for just under 30 million, a really good keeper. So then I also brought this guy in. This is going to be the guy that replaces Duke Dard. So, you know, you're probably wondering, Mark, he probably costs us a ridiculous amount of money because on top of that, he's only 21, he's English, which means English tax, 6 foot, can play with both feet, got an amazing mentality, he's got a professional mentality, 16 dribbling, 14 finishing, 17 first touch, passing a 14, 18 technique, mental stats are absolutely insane, physical stats are very, very good. Yeah, he only costs us 19 million. He was a little upset. Spaghetti at his club, wanted to leave. And yeah, I was looking for people that were over 6 foot, that were good on the ball. And yeah, this guy popped up for 19 million. Is an absolute steal. This is one we'll probably at some point probably end up losing down the line for really, really good money because he's ridiculous. Which means with everybody in the door and everybody out the door, this is more likely what the team is going to look like. Our new keeper, Fucci, and then Kragefeld, Herbert, and Adisio. Like I said, Adisio, this may end up being replaced, and I may end up just playing Silva in here. Like I said, Adisio, he doesn't enjoy the big games. He's inconsistent, so I may give Silva a game, like a bunch of games this season, to just kind of see how he gets on. And then Nicolini, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, trying to find fullbacks is probably some of the hardest things in Football Manager. It really, really is. They're either ridiculous money, or you just can't find him. I did find one that's kind of a midfielder that I could turn into a right back that looks disgustingly good. So it was this guy. There was a right back, but I don't know what to do. I think I'm still scouting him, but I can't find him. But this was the guy I was going to bring in at left back. But yeah, he ended up signing a contract for 63 million release clause. He was valued at like 25 to 36 or something in around there. But yeah, I was going to bring him in. Like I said, I was going to play him at left wing back. Like, he's got 9 tackling. I know his marking's not fantastic, but we're playing very, very attacking. Look, good crossing, amazing dribbling, first touch finishing, free kick taking, amazing technique is good. 20 flair, 15 determination, physical stats are absolutely through the roof. I'm not going to lie to you, if I had 63 million still in the bank and straight cash, I would probably get this guy to play left back for us. Like I said, I also know it's an absolutely ridiculous amount of money, 63 million. Do we have the cash? Yeah, I could probably wrangle a little deal and get 63 million. It's one of those ones I'll probably come back to and reevaluate. Should have pulled the trigger. At the time when I was looking at him, we didn't have the cash, and then obviously was selling our midfielder for 114 million. That gave us the money, but then by that point, he had already signed a new contract. Look, something I'll reevaluate if I feel like we need him, because I feel like wing back for us is probably our weakest positions. Our players are decent, but I would like to give him a wee bit more va-va-voom. So like I said, boys, this is going to be the team going in to season 3. Like I said, I'm just going to give Suzuki a wee go up here. I feel like he's just a really, really good player, and I feel like we can develop him a lot better. So I'm going to give him a chance for season, just to kind of see how we get on. But boys, that's enough messed about. Let's go play season 3. So boys, we're at the end of season 3, and like I've always said, look, we just need to keep smashing what we're doing. The league, I think we're very, very good in the league. Obviously, Porto is going to give us a good run. They've also bought a few more good players. Their team's ridiculous. But like I said, this is what I want. I want competition. I don't want to be steamrolling the league every year. I want competition. It's why I play Football Manager. It's why I love the Premiership. I love just that competition of anybody could beat you on any day. Obviously, trying to get the Portuguese league up to that standard, it's going to be very, very difficult. But I want us to keep winning the league, but I would also like to do a wee bit better in the cups, and but my main goal is to get a little bit further in the Champions League, because obviously I would like to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and try and get at least try and get the semi-finals or a final of the Champions League. But boys, see how we did in the league. We started the season off strong with a fantastic 1-0 win over Porto. We made a very hard fought match against Benfica, beating them 3-2. Our second match against Porto, we ended up drawing 1 each. Our second match against Benfica, we ended up winning 2-0. Then right at the end of the season, we finished things off with a fantastic 9-1 win, which meant, boys, we did it again. Look, I wouldn't say I expect us to win the league, but I expect us to do very, very well. And like I said, I want Benfica and I want Porto to push us as much as possible. But we did very, very well this year. Did 34 games, 30 wins, 4 draws, no defeats, 80 goal difference. Look, as you can see, Benfica 20 behind us, but Porto also have an 80 goal difference as well. So like I said, it shows you, like, you've seen the firepower they have. We know they're going to be good. We finished on 94 points. I'm not going to lie to you, for probably the last like 5 games of the season, this was very, very close. I don't know what happened to Porto. I don't know if they just fell off a cliff right at the end of the season. Yeah, they lost 1-0 there, lost in the Champions League, and then they lost to Benfica, so that pretty much just won us the league, which I'll take. The more games they lose, the better for us. But like I said, we finished on 94 points. The closest one was 86 and 82. As you can probably guess, Eric Koulibaly, the guy that they fucking stole from us, is obviously going to be the top scorer in the league. He got 30 and 36, which is out. If he would have played for us, bro, this is easy a 35 to 40 goal player every season. But Adani did very, very well in there with 21 in second place. Badri, are we right back up there for average ratings? Badri got 20 assists for the season. Akbas, obviously playing a midfield, got 14 assists. We've nobody in the yellow cards. Our keeper is down in third. Look, Andre Gomez is in there for 17, and then we're in there for 15. So it's very, very close with regards. If we 15 clean sheets in 34 games is fucking solid. And then Badri in there for player of the matches. Overall stats, obviously we get the most points with 2.76. We scored 104 goals. Like I said, it just shows you how close Porto is behind us. 103 goals. Most shots for, we had 663. They've 655. Fewest shots against is actually Benfica, then Porto, then us. Most clean sheets is Benfica, then us, busy joined with Porto in second place. 2 teams had the fewest conceded. They had 23, we had 24. Look, we conceded 24 goals and scored 104. Like, I know this league, that's the whole point of this league. As long as if you can beat the Benfica and you can beat Porto, you have a very, very good chance of winning the league. Because the rest of these teams, look, while they're good, they feel like Sunday league teams compared to how good. Like, if you look at this guy, do you think anybody else in this league has got a fucking player like this? I'm actually, if I'm joking aside, I'm surprised they've been able to keep him, because we are in the Portuguese league. Who's interested in him? Arsenal, Chelsea and Bayern. Yeah, I don't know if they'll keep him for much longer, but they do have ridiculous backups. Like, they have a couple of really, really good strikers. But to win the league 3 years in a row, boys, I'm pretty happy with that. So let's jump over to the cups. So that then took us to the Super Cup, where we faced off against Porto. We started off the scoring through young Ikbas. Porto then hit back 3 minutes later, which then took us to a penalty shootout. And as you know, the penalty shootouts are a little fucky when it comes to the replays, but we ended up beating them 3-2 in penalties. They missed 4 penalties. We missed 3 penalties, so the keepers were having a wee bit of a good day, but I don't care how we win as long as we win. Look, we got more silverware in the cabinet, and also beating Porto was always nice. So that then took us over to the League Cup, where we started things off in Group A against Ferrari. We beat them 2-0. Then in our second Group A match, we faced off against that team of Famalicio. We beat them 3-0. Which then took us to the semi-finals, where we faced off against Benfica. We beat them 2-0 to take us to the final. Where surprisingly, we did not face off against Porto. We faced off against PTM. We started off with the scoring through Luis. Our young left back Sultani then added another one. Then took us on to the second half, where he got himself a second goal. And to finish things off and win us the cup, Big Adani stepped up for us to win 4-0. So boys, once again, it is fantastic to get another cup in the bag. Look, we've won the league, we've won the Super Cup, and we've won the League Cup. This is what I want. Look, I just want us to steamroll as many competitions as we can. And like I said, this has been fun, because we started off obviously 5 years in the future with a different team. I didn't know how good the team was going to be. We could have rolled in here. The team is terrible. I think we've rebuilt the team very, very well. We brought in some fantastic players who are just playing very, very well. But we do have one more cup, which is the PT Cup, and we started things off in the third round against Belenenses. We beat them 2-0. In the fourth round, we had a nice 6-0 win over FIF. In the fifth round, we had a 5-0 win over VIZ. In the sixth round, we faced off against Vannice. We beat them 2-0, which took us to the semi-finals first leg against Nacional. We beat them 2-0. And then 3-0 in the second leg. So we beat them 5-0 in aggregate, which means, boys, we're all going in our cup final, where we did face off against Porto. They started off the scoring in the third. We hit back through Big 7 to make it 1 each. They hit back just after half time. Big Luis got us back into the game to make it 2 each just after half time again. We went 3-2 up through the OG. They hit back in the 70th minute to make it 3 each to take us the extra time, where they started off the scoring. We hit back straight away through Sultani, which then took us to a penalty shootout, where we ended up losing 5-4, which is a little frustrating, because especially against Porto, it just makes it a little worse. But look, a 4 each match going the extra time. Look, at least if we're going to lose a game, we pushed them as hard as we possibly could. Look, we've won the league, won the Super Cup, won 1 cup. got to the final of another cup and lost it. Look, a very, very good season so far, but we do have the Champions League still left. We started things off in the league phase against Celtic, beating them 2-1. Then Man City just absolutely obliterated us 5-1. I just noticed they also have Jude Bellingham. Yeah, that's interesting. Then drew 2 each away to Juventus. Beat AAK 2-0. Had an amazing 4-3 win over Barcelona. And unfortunately lost 4-2 to Bayern. But we did bounce back against Dortmund, beating them 2-0. But then unfortunately in our last league phase match, we ended up getting beat by Villarreal, which means if we go over to the league phase thing, we ended up finishing down in 15th. Look, not fantastic, but we did have a couple of hard games. Ideally, I feel like the Villarreal game is a game we should have been winning, which meant if we were on 13, would have took us up to 16, which means we would have been in and around the sort of, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 area, which would have been a lot better. But look, all in all, we qualified. It just means we have to play 2 more games. We faced off against Stuttgart in the knockouts. We drew 3 each with them away in the first match. But we did turn things around in the second leg. We beat them 2-0 with a better performance, which now takes us off to the round of 16. We faced off against Liverpool. We beat them 2-1 in the first match. At Anfield, we drew with them 1 each, which took us to the quarterfinals, where we faced off against a very, very good Inter Milan team. We beat them 2-1 in the first leg, which meant in the second leg we had everything to play for. We actually started off the scoring through young Adani with an absolute screamer. They hit back just after half time. Then Lautaro Martinez put them 2-1 up. Xavi Simons then made it 3-1 to unfortunately finish our Champions League run here, which, look, I want to say we did very, very well. We did amazing, but I'm a little disappointed. After winning 2-1 in the first leg, look, I know they've got an amazing team, but we've got a good team. I'm kind of upset. I would love to have made it to the semi-finals, but look, we still have another 2 years. We're okay, but like, I think this is a season. Honestly, I feel like we had a good chance of winning the Champions League. Our team's very, very good. But look, all in all, a very, very good season. We won the league, won the Super Cup, won one of the cups, got to the final of the other cup, and made it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. All in all, an amazing season. I wanted to get to the semis. So then moving over into the player performances, our young keeper, Fuji, played 60 games, 55 conceded, but 28 clean sheets. But we do have a bit of a problem with him. Yeah, Arsenal, Barcelona want him. So this is going to be one. Look, I'm going to fight as hard as I can to keep this kid. This is a keeper that you keep around for the rest of your season. He's only 23. He is very, very good. But we have to fight off the big teams. I will fight tooth and nail to keep him. And Big Crashfeld played 47 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. The only thing I have noticed about a lot of the players that we seem to be getting at the minute, they just end up with the inconsistency trait and the important matches trait, the negative versions, obviously. Like, I've never had this many players who are very, very good and then they end up with both of those traits. It's usually one or the other, or they just don't have them at all. I'm usually pretty good, my wonder kids, but like, they just seem to just don't enjoy the big games and they're inconsistent. Does it seem to be affecting the team? No, we're absolutely fucking smashing it with regards to like trophies and stuff. But like, I don't know if I should be worried with this. And then Big Fabrizi played 41 games, 1 goal, 3 assists. And then Idolicio played 53 games, no goals, but he got himself 2 assists. He's also another one that's wanted by Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Inter. So yeah, another one that's also got the inconsistency trait and doesn't enjoy the big matches. Hard part's just going to be holding on to him. Then Big Herbert didn't start as many games, but look, I'm happy with the players getting a decent amount of rotation. Started 3 games, 14 off the bench though. Then Big Silva, he started 23 games, 27 off the bench, no goals, 1 assist. But like I said, because we've got those 3 centre backs, all our 5 to 6 centre backs are getting a decent amount of rotation. Young Nicolini at left back played 39 games, 1 goal, 7 assists, but he had over a 7 rating. He played well, but it's one of those ones, look, doesn't mean just because he only got 7 assists that he played an absolute terrible season. No, he scored a couple of like really, really important goals. I don't know, because if you look at our other left back, Sultani, who only started 23 games, had 4 goals and 13 assists. But if you look at his stats, 8 crossing, 8 dribbling, 10 first touch. The man's get 1 finishing and he scored 4 goals. So I don't know, like, do we play Sultani at left back, or is left back a position we're gonna need to look at? Because I feel like we just need some of them with a wee bit more grit in there. But the only thing we do have to watch is Nicolini is now our captain, because he's one of the only people on the team that has really, really good leadership skills. Obviously, with our team being very, very young, apart from, I think the boss is the only person that's like reasonably old, which is funny to say. So this is something we do need to watch, because I don't want to obviously piss off the whole team. And then, of course, our right back, young Baldry, played 51 games, 9 goals, 26 assists. Look, he's one of those ones. Look, his stats don't jump out at you. I'm absolutely amazing. But his physical stats are insane. And Football Manager loves players with good physical stats. They really, really do. Look, the man, he's got good crossing. I'll give him that much. But he's getting 9 dribbling. But like, he's kind of like Ruggeri, where his dribbling's not amazing, but his crossing's good. Look, 26 assists and a 7.48 for the season. And of course, moving into the midfield, Sivem, I did have to lock in because obviously the assistant manager wants to play somebody else. He played 57 games, 16 goals and 13 assists. Look, I think a very, very good purchase for us. Obviously, look, probably not going to get any better, but he's everything that I need. Big, physical, he can pass the ball, he can go forward, he can go back, and like I said, 6'4" with those physical stats helps out a lot. And also, he loves big matches, he's super consistent and got an amazing mentality. Also, big CFM, we only paid like what, 8 million for him or something, but then Akbas in beside him, once again another one I locked in because he wanted to play him as the shadow striker where I wanted Akbas in midfield, so I had to lock him in. So with 56 games played, 23 goals, 23 assists. So the man had 46 goal involvements in 56 games and a 7.34 for the season. Look, a really good season from him. Another one we only paid like what, like 19 million. Of course, young Fabio, another one that we brought in. Look, 17 games played, 23 off the bench, 17 goals and 3 assists. So he's another one we kind of maybe have to look at as well. But if he's getting a lot of games and he's getting a lot of rotation and he's happy enough to just keep doing what he's doing, I don't really need to upset the team. Then that moves us on to the two shadow strikers. Luis played 48 games, 16 goals, 9 assists and a 7.1 for the season. Look, a good season. Would have like probably a few more assists in there, but look, all in all, he had a good season. Danny, who I knew was going to end up having a good season because every time I looked on the fucking results, he was always in there for scoring. Played 58 games, 32 goals, 5 assists and a 7.2 for the season. So another one, like I said, the same as Luis. They're both very similar players, but he just had a wee bit of a better season. Then Suzuki up top played 35 games, 19 goals, 4 assists. But like I said, my issue with him is that the inconsistency trait and that doesn't enjoy big matches trait. But I do know another one that got a decent amount of football up top as well was Marcus Vinicius. As you can see, 15 games started, 9 off the bench, 8 goals, 2 assists. Boys, all in all, like I said, an absolutely amazing season. The only positions, like I said, we need to look at is maybe this. I may just play Sultani. I'm not going to lie. Look, he had a good season, and I think it's time for me to just throw him in and kind of give him a go and see what he's capable of. I don't even know how much money we've got. We've got 5 million. I don't know if that's our initial transfer budget. It's bound to not be ours. There's no way they only give us 5 million after the season that we just had. And then, like I said, Suzuki is another one I kind of want to upgrade, but I have brought somebody in with last season's transfer budget. I have confirmed the signing of someone. He is very, very good. Costs us a little bit of money, but look, if you want like a really good striker, you're gonna have to pay for them. But I think left back is going to be the position we kind of need to look at. Either I play Sultani in there and just kind of give him a season and see how he goes, but like I said, it also depends how much money we get. But boys, all in all, a really good season. We're getting to that point where we're only tweaking like maybe 1 or 2 positions every season, or just bringing people in for squad depth, and that's absolutely perfect. It's where we want to be. But boys, an amazing season 3. Let's jump over into season 4. So boys, I'm moving over into season 4. Unfortunately, that was our initial transfer budget. That was it for the season, 5.8 million, which I don't understand. Like, with how well we just did in the league. We won the Super Cup, won the Cup, made it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and we got 5.8 million is a little strange. Like I said, luckily enough, the money from last season I had put in to bring in a striker in, so we're good that way, because just as well, otherwise we wouldn't have had any cash. We did have 2 people go out the door, so let's jump over and look at them. The first one was young Dean Doyle. We got him on a free last season, but he wanted to leave because he wasn't getting enough first team football, wanted to get up into the international stage, so we sold him on for a total of 20 million, so 20 million pound profit, which ain't bad for a kid that we got for nothing. Then the next one out the door was Fabio. This is one I actually didn't want to lose because he was very good for the squad. He can play in the attacking midfielder role, the shadow striker role, and up top if we need any cover, which we usually do because we're playing a lot of games. Look, we paid what, like 14.5 million for him, sold him on for 20, working its way up to 30 million. So all in all, a pretty good deal, but a player I didn't want to lose. Lucky enough now, when we sell players, I have just kept asking the board. Our money received from transfers is now 100%. So every time we sell a player, we get all the cash, which is handy. So then one of the first players in the door, this is one I agreed from last year, I think it was actually from January, is Nikola Pajinovic. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Look, this is one going to be back up for mostly in the midfield. 6'3", obviously with us losing Fabio, we're going to need people complaining to Segundo and Volante. 6'3", teamwork and work rate is absolutely phenomenal. Bravery's good. You get 15 marking, 15 passing, 17 tackling, 17 technique. Like I said, on top of that, a big physical unit of a player, and we only paid 2.8 million for him. So once again, really good for squad depth. But the big one coming in is gonna be Fabio Carrozza. Yeah, we paid a lot of money for him, but like I said, it's a position up top. Look, we needed to strengthen a little bit. I need that person that's gonna guarantee me 30-40 goals a season easy. I need that person that's just gonna fucking smash them in Fabio Cruz, we did have to pay a total of 55 million for him. Sevilla did not want to let go of him. He had a release clause. They wouldn't take anything less than that. But here's the things. 22 years old, so we're going to have him around for a long time. He's got a good mentality, enjoys the big games, very good with both feet. He's 6 foot, 14 crossing, 16 dribbling, 18 finishing, 16 first touch, free kick taking a 14, 16 heading, 16 passing, 17 technique, work rate of 14, 16 vision, 17 off the ball, 17 flair, 14 determination, 15 decisions, 14 composure. I would like his concentration and maybe anticipation to be up a little bit, but look, we're in the Portuguese league, and bringing in a player like this is absolutely phenomenal. Physical stats are also very, very good. He's quick, he's got good stamina, good agility. Balance, a little strange. That's one thing I always find really weird in Football Manager, that a person can have 17 agility and then 12 balance. They're kind of tied to each other, so you would think one would be good. I would rather have both of these be like 14 than one of them be 12 and one of them be 17. But look, anyway, this is going to be the boy up top that's going to smash the goals for us this year, boys. So then, boys, with everybody in the door and everybody out the door, this is what the team is going to look like for the season. She has been an absolute nightmare, bro. Not him, just like clubs. So Arsenal and Barcelona have been offering for him the whole goddamn summer. They came in, they offered 21.5 million for him. I said no. As you can see, he's upset, he's spaghetti. But look, he's valued at 38 to 49 million. See, unless I get 55 to 60 million for him, I will keep him until his fucking contract runs out. I will keep him at the club for 4 years. I'm not getting rid of players for like stupid money. He is too good of a keeper to sell on for really, really stupid money. And look, we paid 29.5 million for him. I'm not banning him for 29.5 million, selling him on for 21. If anything, I want at least another 15 to 20 million. So he's staying, and then obviously the more he plays, look, he's going to not be upset. He's spaghetti. The back line, Kajafeld, Fabrizzi and Adilio, obviously this is going to interchange. A lot of these players are just going to sort of just move around. I'm not going to lock any of the centre backs in. Just whoever this as a manager feels like the best player on the best current form is going to play. Badri, another one that's been absolutely tortured with people trying to bam. It's mostly been, it was Atletico Madrid and Roma has been the only ones really offering, but like once again it's like 15 to 18 million and I'm not selling him for that. So he's going to want another one. Look, 26 assists last year. If you want him, pay for him. Sultani is one I am going to start at left back. I feel like we just give this kid a chance. Look, he had a very, very good season last year. If you click on him, look, 13 assists in 23 games. I feel like we just give him a chance. Our other left back just hasn't really been producing. Sivam and Ekbas in the middle of the park. João Pereira, I feel like, and I'm going to take Luis. Luis is kind of at his max, and João Pereira is a 2.5 star, has anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5. Look, if he gets the 4 star, another star and a half better than this, we have an absolute baller on our hands. I also loaned him out last year. I forgot to actually show you that. Played 29 games, 9 goals, and then 1 assist. But like I said, when he's going to be on our team, he's going to get a lot more goals. Adani, and then Coriza, obviously up top. I wouldn't say expect. I want this kid to just bang us an absolute fucking bucket load of goals. I would say a player as good as him, he could get 40 league goals. We play, what, 36 games? There's no way. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to say it again. I don't expect him to get 40 goals, but I feel like he's got the stats and the caliber of player. He should more than capable be able to score us 40 league goals this year. So that's going to be the team. Like I said, I expect once again to win the league with at least a decent amount of competition. Champions League, once again, just keep doing what we're doing. I want to try and make it to at least a semi-final or a final before we finish this save, because I feel like our team is more than good enough. But look, let's go smash season 4, boys. So boys, we're at the end of season 4. Obviously, if we're here, the youth intake was 2-star, boys. 2-star. And we have 5-star recruitment. Look, I'm not going to ramble on about the youth recruitment thing. Look, my luck with getting really good players to youth intake is absolutely terrible. But in January, we had some massive changes to the team. We ended up selling some players. They wanted to leave. £267 million we brought in January. Unfortunately, one of the first ones out the door, this was one I was actually annoyed about losing because I just brought him into the team, was Dariel Ikbas. He wanted to go to Man United. Look, obviously I understand, even though we're doing really, really well in the league and the Champions League and stuff, we're still a small team. We're a big team in a small league. So when teams like Man United come, can't really do anything about it. So we did sell him for amazing money, 56 million up front, working its way up to 85 million. So look, for a player that we bought for 19 million, we got a total of 85 million. So we made an absolutely massive profit. A player I didn't want to lose because, let's be honest, the kid's got world-class potential. Then the left back that I wanted to start playing this year was Sultani. Yeah, he ended up going to Spurs. January was a bit of a clusterfuck, if I'm being honest. Look, we brought him in for a total of 6 million. We sold him on for 45 million, working its way up to 65 million. So look, we made a profit of what, like 59 million on our left back. But look, he's one of those ones I actually want to keep because physical stats play a huge part in FM. Like they really, really do. Like the engine just loves really, really physical players. He's also got that 20 determination. He's still only 23. But look, if we're gonna lose players, at least we're making good profit. In the next one out the door was João Pereira. He ended up going to Real Madrid. Look, I knew, look, I'm not going to lie to you, when I knew I was locking him in for the season, probably I was going to lose him at some point to a big club, and we did. Like I said, Real Madrid, once again, when Real Madrid comes knocking, can't really overly do a lot. So we bought him for 15 million, sold him on for 43, working its way up to 57 million. Would have liked a little bit more money, if I'm being honest. I would have liked maybe 65 million. I think 65 million would have been a good price. But look, all in all, we once again made a massive profit, but we did lose one of our starting players. In the next one out the door was Krashfeld. Look, this is once again another one I didn't want to lose because he's like, there's nothing about him we need to change. Super physical, 6'2", but he ended up going over to AC Milan. We paid a total of 10 million for him, and then we sold him on for 40 million, working its way up to 60 million. So we made 50 million in profit, which once again, like I said, if we're going to lose them, at least we're getting cash. So then the player that I brought in to replace Pierre is this guy, Mohamed. Hold on, boys. I need to warm up for this one. This one's got a lot of letters. Abderrahman. Look, a fucking really long name. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of letters. But look, a very, very good player. This was one of those like find a little diamond in the rough type players. Look, as you can see from his stats, absolutely fantastic. We paid a total of 8.2 million. He had a release clause. I went and activated. He was on my shortlist, and then he had a release clause because of a new contract, and I was like, I'm activating that. He is absolutely fantastic. And the fact that he's still only 19 as well. So then the next person I brought in was Julio Gonzalez. This is our new left back. Once again, really, really good physicals, pretty good all round. As you can see, he's got an amazing crossing, good dribbling, very, very good first touch. Mental stats look not absolutely unreal, and he's a little shorter than what I would usually like my players to be. But like I said, once again, beggars can't be choosers. And when it came to January, our options were very, very limited. But very, very good player. Like I said, those physical stats are absolutely insane. He's got a really, really good mentality. We paid a total of 9.7 million for him. In the next one I brought in was Cristian Soriano. This is more, once again, we're gonna need squad depth because we just lost a lot of players. This is basically the Fabio replacement at this point. So we paid a total of 4.8 million for him. As you can see, very, very technical, very, very good vision. But on top of that, his teamwork and work rate are also 16, which is absolutely fantastic. He's only 22 years old. He's also 6'2". Really good mentality, enjoys the big games, and like I said, for all we paid for him. And I also brought in Santiago Paleo. This is going to be our Iqbas replacement. Obviously, look, not just as good as him, but the amount of money we're going to have to spend to get a player of the caliber of Iqbas, we would probably have to spend 80 to 100 million because, you know, Football Manager. That's the thing in Football Manager as well. Like, if you go to buy a player, it costs you, say we went to buy Iqbas, right? You're talking 100 million, but then if you're selling that player, you get nowhere near that. Maybe my negotiating skills aren't what they used to be, but everybody says the same thing, that like it's just really, really hard to sell players for like the price that you want. It's usually the players you don't want to sell is the ones you can get for like crazy money. But look, I brought this guy in, Santiago Paleo. Look, once again, cost a total of 8.2 million. Look, very, very good player, good vision, good technical skills, 15 dribbling, 16 first touch. Technique is good. Mental stats, he's got 14 anticipation, 15 composure, 14 decisions, 15 determination, 17 flair. Off the ball of 14. Teamwork and work rate are 16 and 14 with good vision. Mentals and physicals are very, very good. Can play with both feet, got a good mentality. So like I said, we brought in a total of 267 million and we spent 31. So it's fair to say we made the club a little bit of money in January. And I think, honestly, considering it was the January transfer window, and like I said, if you're going to go for good players, you're going to get your pants pulled down. So the fact that we only spent 31 million and replaced all the players in the team, I think we did pretty well. So after all that debacle, I'm not going to lie, the January transfer window, like I said, was a little frustrating because I would rather lose those players in the summer because then it's easier to replace them. In January, you're going to pay stupid money for players, but I think, like I said, we replaced them very, very well. So then moving over in the league, look, the league, once again, I expect us to at least be in the top two, being at least in the top 2, fighting for the title, if not winning the title. But my main goal this year was the Champions League. I wanted to push a little further. I want to get into at least the semi-finals or a final before I finish this rebuild. I think this team is more than good enough, and the formation is absolutely fantastic. So like I said, if you want the save file, the corner routine, the updated database, and the tactic, everything will be in the pinned comments, completely free for you to go and download. And like I said, if you take a save file on, let me know how you get on. I'm always super interested to see what players you keep. Do you keep the formation? How did you do? Did you win the Champions League? Did you keep winning the league? I am very, very interested to know. So do let me know in the comments down below. But boys, let's go and see how we did in the league. We started things off in the league with not a fantastic result against Porto. They ended up beating us 1-0, but this is what I want. I want competition, and obviously we know how good their team is. Then after that, we drew 1 each with Benfica, then drew 2 each with Porto. We then got a fantastic 1-0 win over Benfica. And to finish things off right at the end of the season, we got a nice 10-0 win over Chavez. And then boys, even with us being a little up and down against Porto and Benfica, we managed to retain the title. We were actually a wee bit further ahead than what I thought we were going to be. Obviously, with I would personally say bad results against them. The Porto game, it's going to happen because, as we know, their team is unreal. I've showed you the players that they have, and they keep upgrading their team every year. And like I said, if they've got Eric Koulibaly in their team, look, the dude is world class. Playing for Porto. I also tried to figure out last season why Benfica were scoring so many goals. Yeah, they went and bought Esposito. So if you know me and you've watched my rebuilds, you know my love for Esposito. He's my favorite striker wonder kid in the game. So yeah, now we know why they're scoring so many goals. But yeah, we played 34 games, 30 wins, 3 draws, and then we had one defeat against Porto. We had 95 goal difference. We're 30 plus ahead in goal difference ahead of everybody else. And then we finished on 93 points. We're like, what, 8 points ahead of everybody else? This is absolutely fun. This is what I wanted to see. Fabio Carrizo, our new striker, ended up as top goal scorer with 29 just in the league. Ikbas and then Badri are in there for average ratings. Badri is at the top for assists. We've nobody in the yellow cards. Our keeper is at top for clean sheets. And then Carraza is in there for player of the matches. We go up to the team overall stats. Obviously, we're going to be most points per game because we won the league. We scored 111 goals. Porto fell off a little bit. Honestly, if I had Koulibaly in my team, we're scoring 125, 130 goals easy. Most shots for 650. Few shots against 149. We are massively ahead of anybody else. Most clean sheets. We had 22 clean sheets in the 36 games that we played. And then we conceded 16 goals and scored 111. I think with regards to like goals scored and goals conceded, I feel like this is probably our best season, which is wild considering the amount of really, really good players we lost in January. Like we lost, what, 4 or 5 starting players in our 11 in January and still managed to have a really, really good season. So then we started things off in the Super Cup against Porto with Big Savim started off the scoring. That was the only goal of the game and we ended up winning. Look, this is what I wanted because as far as I remember, they beat us last year. So like we're winning a year, they're winning a year, we're winning a year. And I want the competition. I really, really do. Like I love, let's be honest, we all love steamrolling teams and steamrolling the league. But I love the competition. It's why I love the Premiership. I really, really do. Because any team can beat you in any day. And obviously, the better players Porto have and Benfica have, we get that competition. And like I said, I really, really want that. When we start steamrolling everybody, I don't find it as interesting. So that then moved us over into the PT Cup. We started things off in the 3rd round against FIZ. We ended up smashing them 5-1. And in the 4th round, we faced off against Florgrid. We ended up beating them 7-0. In the 5th round, then we faced off against Canelis 2010. It's weird. I've never seen a team that actually has. Is that the year that their team was actually made? Was 2010? I might go and look after this. But we ended up smashing them 5-0. But unfortunately, this is where our cup run ended. We ended up getting beat 1-0 in the 6th round by Benfica. So that was us out of the PT Cup this year. That then moved us over into the League Cup. We started things off in Group A against BRG. We beat them 4-0. The next match we faced off against Liaria. We beat them 3-0. But unfortunately, this is where the League Cup fun ended up. We ended up going out in the semi-finals against Porto. Once again, like I said, I love the competition. I don't want to be steamrolling every year. I wouldn't say I like that we're losing games, but I like the competition. But look, we've done very, very well. That then took us over into the Champions League, where we started things off in the league phase against Anderlecht. We drew 3 each in a game that we should have won, because as you can see, we had a 3.31 XG. So this is a game I feel like we should have smashed. We then got beat 2-0 by Arsenal. But then we turned things around and started going on a nice little run. We started things off against Rennes. We beat them 2-1, Omega Luke's favourite team. We then beat Brobby 1-0, Ligea 4-1. Then we had 3 fantastic back-to-back wins, one against Monaco, 2-1 win over Man City. And then in our final league phase match, we ended up beating AC Milan. So if we go over to the league table, we did very, very well. We ended up finishing up in third, which is amazing. We're just in behind PSG and Real Madrid, which is absolutely insane. Which then took us over to the round of 16 where we faced off against Fulham. It was not a great start. They beat us 1-0 at Craven Cottage. In the return leg, though, we took a hold of the game and beat them 2-0 to take us through to the quarterfinals. We faced off against Ajax. We smashed them 3-0 in the first leg. The second leg, we ended up drawing 1 each, but that was us 4-1 on aggregate, which takes us, boys, to a little semi-final. We faced off against Atletico Madrid. We beat them 1-0 in the first leg. In the second leg, we drew 0-0, but because of our win in the first leg, boys, we go to a Champions League final against Arsenal, where Arsenal actually started off the scoring through Yusuf Moukoko. And unfortunately, that was the only goal of the game. So we got the whole way to a Champions League final and be 1-0 by Arsenal. And look, it's a team, I know they're very, very good. They do have some very, very good young wonder kids in their team. Saka obviously still plays for them, and Yusuf Moukoko is very, very good in this database as well. But this is a little frustrating. Obviously, look, they beat us 2-0 in the league phase. I would have liked to have got to the final. Look, if you get to the final, you want to win. But this was my goal, to either get the semi-final or a final of a Champions League. With Sporting, I always seem to do really, really well. I don't know what it is. I love the team, so I want to do even better. But look, we had a fantastic season. We won the league, won the Super Cup, got to the semi-finals of a cup. Obviously, the other cup didn't do too fantastic, but then we made it the whole way to a Champions League final. And if you think about it, considering, like I said, the players that we lost in January, we have done very, very well on the back end of the season. Look, with regards to player performances, young Fucci, nobody has been coming in for him, but I think the summer is going to be a little Al Nassr, Barcelona, Bayern and Arsenal. Yeah, it's going to be hard to hold on to him in the summer. But look, he played 52 games, 28 conceded, 31 clean sheets. Then young Silva obviously had to step into the back line and be a starter whenever we lost Krajafeld. So he played 24 games started, 25 off the bench, 2 goals, 1 assist. Fabrizzi, the assistant manager, seems to love playing him, but I understand why. Look, he's got a fantastic mentality. Enjoys the big games. Played 46 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. And then, of course, big Idilicio, who I'm surprised we've actually been able to hold on to, because the amount of people that's been chasing him who wants him now. Newcastle and Al Nassr, 46 appearances, no goals but 2 assists. Lewis Herbert is one. I'm actually surprised that the assistant manager is not playing as much, because he's very, very good. He only started 6 games, 19 off the bench. He's got 1 goal. Obviously, he's upset at spaghetti because he wants to play more football. DeBas is another one that's still getting a decent amount of football. In January, he also wanted to leave. I wouldn't let him go. We had already lost too many people. He started 10 games, 21 off the bench, 1 goal, 1 assist. Look, he's about to turn 31 and he's still a very, very valuable part of the team. And Gonzalez, our new left back, obviously we only brought him in January. He started 15 games, 9 assists. Adri, once again, had another really, really good season. 44 games started, 7 goals, 19 assists. It's wild because if you look over here, he doesn't look that good, but those physical stats are carrying him hard. In the middle of the park, big Savim had a very, very good season. 53 games played, 25 goals and 8 assists. Of course, Paleo, the guy that we brought in January to replace Akbas, has played 24 games, 5 goals, 5 assists. Adani surprisingly had a wee bit of a quiet season. Usually a guy that's always performing. 44 games started, 13 off the bench, 8 goals, 2 assists. So only 10 goal involvements in, say, what, 48 games. And then, of course, young Mohammed, the guy that we brought in January to obviously replace Pieri, started 22 games, 8 goals, 10 assists. So 18 goal involvements in 22 games. So Danny needs to step it up a little bit. Also, he's an absolute gem of a signing. 8.2 million this guy costs. Look how good he is, and he still has room to improve. And of course, big Fabio Carroza up top, the one I was expecting to do very, very well. Look, 50 games played, 31 goals, 15, I was going to say 45 assists. If he got 45 assists, he would have been an absolute god signing. He got 15 assists. So what's that, like 46 goal involvements in 50 games in his first season? And then, of course, we do still have Andrea Nicolini, who's our backup left back. He played 10 games, 27 off the bench, so still getting a ton of football. 2 assists and 8 goals. That's actually completely the wrong way around. It's 2 assists and 8 goals. My brain's all over the place today. Of course, then we do also have Andre Luis. Look, once again, the shadow strikers are going to get a lot of rotation. He started 18 games, 37 off the bench, 15 goals and 4 assists. Honestly, he had a better season than Adani, who started. And then we do have Marcus Vinicius, who I'm surprised is not getting a lot of football. I would understand why he wants to leave, because he didn't start any games, which is wild. There's no way our team was completely fit all season that this guy couldn't have got some football. And of course, you do have Suzuki as well, but because obviously with us having Kurosa as our striker, He's not getting just as much football. He started 4 games, 32 off the bench, which is still a decent amount of football. 10 goals, 1 assist, but I can understand why he's upset. Then, of course, we do still have Sebastiano Pierri. Look, I loaned him out for the season. He only started 1 game, 6 off the bench. I loaned him out in January, so I wanted to get a wee bit of football. This is a little disappointing. I would have liked to start more games. But boys, all in all, look, we can't complain about anything for the season. Like I said, won the league, won the Super Cup. The 2 cups we didn't win, but we made it the whole way to the Champions League final. I actually, look, I know we should be happy that we got the whole way to a final, but if you get there, you want to win, and only losing 1-0 was a little disappointing. But look, we made it to a Champions League final, won the league, won the Super Cup. So I would say in season 4, we've did very, very well. We also still have a shit ton of money left. We have 105 million. Of course, I can move all this around, move it up to 116, because obviously we still have a lot of money left from the 267 million that we made. Obviously, a lot of that's going to come in installments, so we're probably going to make, like another 167 million, because the finances for the club are looking really good. 193 overall balance if we went to the debts and loans. We only owe 46 million, which, to be honest, we could probably pay off right now and just get it over and done with. But I'm very, very happy with how the team performed in season 4. I think going forward, I don't think there's too much we need to change about the first team. I'm probably just going to start banning like a lot of really, really good like young players, or if anybody comes up that I'm super, super interested in. Obviously, we have the cash to buy kind of who we want if we really want to. But boys, jump over into season 5. So boys, then moving over into season 5, obviously we just want to keep continuing what we're doing, smashing the league, keep doing what we're doing in the Champions League. We got so close last year, so close, but obviously team has changed a little bit between the January transfer window. They're losing a lot of our big players, obviously making a lot of money, but we did lose some players in this summer transfer window, unfortunately. And the big loss was our striker, Fabio Carrizzo. Look, we knew this was going to happen. The amount of interest shown him at the end of the season was absolutely insane. And of course, he had a release clause, which made it a little worse, because I would like to get a little bit more money. He ended up going to Chelsea. Look how much he's worth now. The difference in prices from the Premiership to like the Portuguese league, like he was valued at what? I think he was valued, it was like 55 to 60 million whenever he was playing for us, and he's 246 to 268 million. Like I said, he had that release clause of 66 million. Unfortunately, once again, I couldn't get it out of his contract. He wouldn't sign an our contract due to the interest being shown on him from bigger clubs. So we bought him for 55. He played very, very well last year for season 4s, and then we sold him on for 66. Ideally, would have liked to get about 70 to 80 million, but look, it is what it is. But the problem is, he is fucking world class, and we need to replace him. So this is one that I ended up agreeing with regards to like last season's transfer budget. We still have 168 million left, because obviously we made so much money in January with the players that we sold. So I brought this guy in, Mario Jorge. Look, he's very, very good. A little injury prone, but obviously our centre backs all get a lot of rotation. He's 24, 6'3", strong with 1 foot, very strong with the other foot, good mentality, super consistent. Physical stats are absolutely insane. He's got good heading, good mental stats, good positioning. Work rate is a little lower, but like I said, it's just you can't get everything when you're playing in the Portuguese league. We're not the Premiership. He also has good marking, good passing, good tackling, good technique. So all in all, a really, really good signing. Did cost us a total of 34 million, but look, all in all, it's a really good signing for us. So then the first of our signings in this transfer window is going to be this guy, Ejan Nuhamovic. He's Danish. Look, fantastic. Look, he's not over 6 foot. You know my love for trying to get big physical players in the team, but look, he's a very, very good player. We got him really, really cheap. On top of that, it was only 8.5 million needed release clause. Can play fantastic at both feet. He's got a good mentality. Physical stats are good. Mental stats are relatively good. Good marking, good passing, good tackling, good technique. This is one I'm probably going to bring in, either loan out or put him into like the under 21s and let him play. Ideally, I would like to loan him out for a couple of seasons, because he's a very, very good player. And the next one I brought in is a striker. Obviously, this is going to be once again for rotation, because we need people to play in the shadow striker. We also need to play people to play up top. Don't think he's going to be our starter. The guy I brought in to start is very, very good. So Guillerem, I think that's how you pronounce that, 6'2". Look, 17 dribbling, 17 finishing, 15 first touch. Technique is good. Mental stats are good. Physical stats are good. Play reasonably well both feet. He's only 20 years old. He had a release clause of 13 million. Obviously, we had to activate that because they wouldn't take anything less than that. But the guy I have brought in to be our starting striker, look, obviously replacing the striker that we had, he was world class, but this dude has the potential to be very, very good. He's playing a 3-star right now. He has the potential to be anywhere from 3.5. If he gets a 4-star and gets a star better than what he is right now, very, very good player. He did cost us a total of 8.2 million, which I think is an absolute steal. And once again, Argentinian, had a release clause, but physical stats: 17 acceleration, 17 agility, 16 natural fitness, 15 pace, 16 stamina, 15 anticipation, 14 composure, 14 decision makings, 16 determination, 15 flair. Good leadership. I usually don't make my strikers like my captain or anything, but it's always good to have a bunch of people that are really, really good leadership skills around the club. 15 off the ball, 15 dribble, and 15 finishing, 17 first touch. Like I said, for 8.5 million, this dude, he's going to come in. Obviously, if we touch wood, we can hold on to this guy in the January transfer window. If he was to go to the Premiership, you're talking like another £100 million player. And that is everybody I've brought in the door. Obviously, there's a few people I'm kind of looking at, but look, I don't want to get my pants pulled down from price. I'm trying to bring young players into the club for relatively cheap, and then if we do sell them on, we make a huge profit. Because like I said, if you go into the finances, 266 million in the bank. Once again, we do have the 100% revenue every time we sell somebody now. So debts and loans, look, we're down to 34.5 million. Obviously, we could clear that. That's one thing I wish you could do. You could, if you have enough money, obviously it's not really a manager thing, but like I wish you could just go in, go to the board and go, here, take 34 million out of my transfer budget and just clear the club's debt and just get them completely free. Obviously, does it make sense? No, it's something to do with the financial team and the board and stuff, but I wish that's something you could do, like you could go in and clear the debt for your club. But like I said, this is everybody in the door and everybody out the door. Fushi, Silva, Fabrizzi, and a Delicio. Obviously, this is going to rotate because we do have decent centre backs, so there's going to be a lot of people moving around. I'm not going to lock any of them in. Gonzalez at left back and Badri, the amount of people offering for him, I have rejected every bid. He has said nothing, so I'm happy enough for that. Pielo and Sevim in the middle park. Sevim had a very, very good season last year. Adani and Udrulam. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I really just can't get it on my tongue. And then obviously Big Fusa up top. Once again, I don't know who the assistant manager is going to play. So honestly, the team doesn't really overly change too much. Jorge comes in at the back line. Once again, I'm super happy with that. So like I said, I'll take these three players out. I don't mind who plays in here. Gonzalez obviously going to start. Badri obviously going to start. The Bast, I don't think I would start the Bast in here. So I'm going to lock in a Pielo because I want him to play. Look, 6 foot, really, really good all round. And the Bast is kind of at his potential and I want to start him. Adani, not really worried who starts out of the two of them. And then obviously Ibrahim, would like him to be in here. And then obviously up top, I want Fusa to start. So the new people I'm going to lock in is Pielo, the big man, and then Fusa. I'm just going to call him big man now because I don't know how to pronounce his name. And Fusa. So I'm only going to lock 3 players into the team. Obviously going to come back and reevaluate this in January. If I don't need to lock them in January, I usually don't. But boys, that's everybody in the door and everybody at the door. All we need to do is just keep doing what we're doing. We're playing absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping the 5th and final season, boys, we can get somebody decent for the fucking youth intake. Just once in one of these videos, I want to be able to bring you back and be like, we got an absolute smasher of a player. But boys, look, we just have to roll the RNG Wonder Kid gods and see if they like us. Boys, that's enough messing about. Let's go play season 5. So boys, we're at the end of season 4. Obviously our youth intake was not great. Look, it was 2.5 stars. I just wanted, boys, one season where we get an absolute banger Wonder Kid, but we've built a team with amazing Wonder Kids. We've done absolutely fantastic after the year we had last year. I wanted just to continue that this year. So jump over, see how we did in the league. But actually, before we jump into that, we did have to play the Super Cup against Benfica. We actually started off the scoring through Adani. Then just after halftime, we made it 2-0 through young Luis. And boys, that was the final score. Look, it's fantastic. Look, I know the Super Cup, it's not massively important, but if it's a piece of silverware, I want to win it, boys. It will be mine. But look, joking aside, look, this is another fantastic trophy in the bag. So now, let's jump over and see how we did in the league. So we started things off very, very strong. We did end up beating Porto 2-1 right at the start of the season. We then drew 2 each with Benfica. We then beat Porto again 2-0. We then managed to get a nice 3-1 win over Benfica. Then against a smaller team in Penafiel, we won 7-0. Look, I know they're not a massive team, but winning 7-0 regardless is very nice. And with all those results, boys, we win the league again. 5 years, 5 league titles. This is exactly what I wanted to bring back. We're starting our own reign of terror, boys. But look, we played 34 games, 29 wins, 5 draws, probably a wee bit more than what I would have liked, but we went undefeated. We did not lose 1 game all season. 73 goal difference, massively ahead of everybody else. 92 points. We were 20 points ahead. This is the biggest lead we've had over this league so far. And obviously one of the main reasons why Porto hasn't really played well this season is they lost Eric Koulibaly to Man City. The crazy thing is, so they paid 92 million up front, working its way up to like 114, 118 million, can't remember what it was, and then Man City paid them 68. which is like half of what they paid. There's no way I would have released this man for any less than about 180 to 200 million. He's the best striker in the game apart from Erling Haaland, which means after that, obviously, look, they just didn't have the firepower to keep up with us. We do have young Fusa, our new striker. He is third in there. I would have liked them to be kind of up there, but look, it's his first season. I'm going to let him away with it. And then Brady, always in there for average ratings. The kid always plays absolutely fantastic. Brady is also in there for assists. He's top with 19. Julio Gonzalez is in there for yellow cards. Fushi is up there for top for clean sheets. And then Brady is in there for player of the matches. If we go over to the team overall stats, obviously, we're going to be most points per game. Most goals, we had 94. Everybody's pretty far behind. But like I said, Porto losing Koulibaly did really hit them a kick in the balls. In most shots for, we had 675. We're like nearly 200 ahead of anybody. Fewer shots against is us by a good margin. Most clean sheets is us. We had 17 clean sheets and fewest conceded with 21. So we conceded 21 goals, scored 94. Look, all in all, boys, I think honestly we would have broke 100 goals again, but obviously losing our striker didn't really already help that. But look, it is what it is. We're in the Portuguese league. We know we're going to lose players. It's just a little rough. I'm actually really surprised at Porto because they've done very, very well the last couple of, like the last like 4 years of selling players for crazy money, and then they go and sell probably, like I said, one of the best strikers in the world for like half the price they paid. So that then takes us over to the cups. We start things off in the PT Cup third round. We got a pretty comprehensive win, 9-0. In the fourth round, we had a nice 2-0 win. In the fifth round, we faced off against Estrella. We beat them 2-1. In the sixth round, it was then BRG's turn to get a wee cheek clap, and we beat them 3-1, which then moved us over to the semi-finals where we faced off against VTSC. In the first leg, we beat them 1-0. In the second leg, we then beat them 2-0, which took us to the cup final against Porto, where we actually started off the scoring through Big Luis. They hit back 10 minutes later. Young Isu then made it 2-1. Jorge made it 3-1. They hit back with their own penalty to make it 3-2. In the 70th minute, we got our fourth goal, take home the cup. So boys, another cup in the bag. Look, this is fantastic. It means we've won the league, we've won the Super Cup, we've won the PT Cup. Let's move over into the next cup. So in our first match in the League Cup, a Group A, still don't understand the group thing, but look, we digress, okay? We ended up beating Alverca 2-1. Our second match, we then won 3-0. And of course, in the weird cup that has no quarterfinals, you just go straight to the semi-finals. We faced off against Benfica. We beat them 2-0. We faced off against Marinese. Surprisingly, they started off the scoring with an absolute banger of a header. We hit back pretty much straight away through Big Mohammed. Luis then made it 2-1. Then in the 93rd minute, they equalised to take it to penalties, where we ended up winning 5-4 on penalties. As you know, the penalties are a little fucky in the replays. Look, we scored all our penalties. Good Johnson missed it for them. I'm not going to lie, both of their goals were absolute bangers. But lucky enough, boys, so that means now we've won the league, won the Super Cup, we've won both of the cups. How did we do in the Champions League? We did not start off great. We ended up getting beat 1-0 by Bayern. We then drew 0-0 with Leipzig. We then scraped past Slavia Prague 2-1. Then in a very hard fought match, we beat Vigo 5-3. We then got beat 3-2 by Arsenal. A fantastic 1-1 draw with Barcelona at the Nou Camp. We then smashed Anderlecht 4-1. And then in our final league phase match, we beat Monaco 3-0. Which then meant after all those results, we ended up finishing 10th, which look, wasn't bad. We had a wee bit of a ropey start, but we had some hard teams in there. Look, it doesn't matter if we finish in the blue or we finish in the green. Obviously, it means we have to play 2 more games, but look, as long as we qualify, that's all that counts. So that's us now through to the knockouts, where we faced off against a team we know very, very well in Porto. We drew with them 1-1 in the first leg. In the second leg, it wasn't so close. We smashed them 3-0 to take us to the round of 16, where we know every team is going to be very, very difficult. We ended up getting Inter Milan. We beat them 3-2 in the first leg. Second leg at the San Siro was an absolute barnstormer. It was 4 each. We went through 7-6 on aggregate, where we faced off against the other Milan club at the San Siro. We drew 2 each in the first leg. In the second leg, we scraped another victory, beating them 2-1 to go through 4-3 in aggregate to the semi-finals, where we faced off against Atletico Madrid. We beat them 1-0. We scored in the 92nd minute. In the second leg at their ground, we ended up beating them 1-0 again. So it means, boys, we go through to another Champions League final against Real Madrid, where just before halftime, with a terrible mistake from us, we let them in to score 1-0. And unfortunately, that was the only goal of the game, an absolute howler from one of our midfielders that just honestly let them in. But look, a very, very hard fought game. As you can see by the player ratings, Real Madrid, they deserved to win. They were the better team, but like just an absolute harder from us. It means 2 years in a row, two Champions League finals and we can beat 1-0 in both of them. But look, it shows that we have a very, very good team. If we can compete with all these teams and only get beat 1-0 or give them a very, very good game, it shows that we've built an amazing team. Look, I'm a little frustrated because 2 years in a row, 2 finals, getting beaten both of them. I would have liked to at least win one, but my goal was, like I said, to reach a semi-final or a final by the time we finish this rebuild, and we've got the 2 finals, so I can't be too disappointed, but I did want to win. So boys, then jumping over into the player performances. Look, I am massively happy. We had an unreal season. It just would have been the icing on the cake to win the league, Super Cup, both of the cups, and then go and win the Champions League. But look, it wasn't meant to be, and like I said, I'm very, very happy with how the boys did. I can't be disappointed. Of course I'm disappointed that we got there, didn't win, but like I'm happy that we got there. So look, player performances. Fushi, another one I'm very, very happy we were able to keep, because like, God, who wants him now? Like, look at the teams. It's absolutely ridiculous. He played 58 games, conceded 42, but had 28 clean sheets. Then of course, Big Jorge, the one that we had just brought in, look, wasn't one that I wasn't too sure how he was going to perform, because look, little injury prone, doesn't enjoy the big games, but he played 54 games, 5 goals, 3 assists. I just tried to lie to you and tell you it was 4. But look, one that can play fantastic at both feet, 6'3". Really, really good signing for us. And then Bigfoot, but it's played 47 games, 3 goals, 7 assists. And then Idolicio. We're going to do that every single time we see his name. But look, another one, always been consistent. Look, just one that didn't scream out at me that this dude is absolutely unreal, but like, the performances kind of speak for themselves, don't they? Played 44 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. Gonzalez then out on the left-hand side, played 51 games, 4 goals, 13 assists. Obviously, look, with him being a little inconsistent, not enjoying the big games, I'd be interested to see if he didn't have maybe the inconsistency trait, would he be able to smash a few more assists in? But look, all in all, very, very happy with him. Then, of course, El Badri on the other side, which is a weird one, because like, it just does show you physical stats mean so much in FM24. Because like, you look at this dude, 9 dribbling. Yeah, he's got 13 crossing, pretty solid. 11 first touch. His passing is fucking 9. His vision is 10. The man played 54 games, 6 goals, 28 assists. That is 34 goal involvements from right back, from a player that, like, if you cover up his physical stats and just look at the rest, you'd be like, this dude's fucking terrible. But like, physical stats just play so well. Then of course we do have Big Herbert, another one I'm a little disappointed didn't get a lot of football, because he is absolutely fantastic. I would have liked a little bit more rotation. He only started 1 game, 6 off the bench. Then Big DeBast, once again, like I said, getting a ton of rotation between playing in defensive midfield and playing centre back. 43 games started, 9 off the bench, 4 goals, 8 assists. Of course, then we do also have Silva in there as well, played 14 games, 21 off the bench, 1 goal, 1 assist. In pushing over into the middle of the park, we have Big Sivim, played 24 games, 26 off the bench, 6 goals, 8 assists. Then of course we have Paleo playing in beside him, 41 games started, 11 goals, 10 assists, and a 7.3 for the season. Not bad for a dude we only paid like, what, 8 million for him? Then of course Big Adani up top in the shadow striker role, played 47 games, 18 goals, 10 assists. Big Mohammed in beside him had a absolute banger of a season. This dude, how much did we pay? 8.5 million for this dude? Yeah, 8.2 million, 57 games played, 3 goals, 14 assists. I would have loved them to break the 20 assists and get 50 goal involvements for the season, but all in all, 44 goal involvements in 57 games. For like, this dude, he is if he's in a Premiership team, he's classed as world class. Then of course Big Fusa up top, he played 56 games, 27 goals, 6 assists. So boys, all in all with this team, we have built a absolutely disgusting team. They're like, the most of this team is still very, very young, and we have a lot of really, really good young players in the youth team as well. I did confirm the signing of 1 player. Like I said, we do have a ton of cash. Like, I still have 175 million left over. So if you do take this save on, you're gonna have a lot of money. You're gonna have a very, very good young team, a bunch of really good young players in the youth system. I have confirmed the signing of 1 player for you. Just at the opportunity come up, he was very, very good. There was a bunch of clubs interested in him, and he had a really good release clause. And it is this guy, Tomas Aquino, young 19-year-old Argentinian, 6'1". Look, very, very good in the air. He's got 13 jump on reach and 14 heading. I would ideally work on his jump on reach. If you can get this up to like 15, he is gonna be disgusting. But like, his mental stats, 15 anticipation, 14 bravery, 14 composure, 14 decisions, 15 determination, 14 flair. On top of that, his teamwork and work rate are 17 and 16. finishing a 14. Honestly, this will probably go up to like 15 or 16 by the time you're done. And physical stats, like he's got 18 balance, 15 strength. Not the fastest player in the world, but like Esposito is one of those ones. I would definitely work on his jump and reach. 6'1", if you can make him really good in the air, he's going to be an absolute unit. And like I said, for total price, I think we paid a total of like, what, 8.2 million? Yeah, an absolute steal. And it also gives you a wee bit of squad depth. But like I said, boys, we have done everything we wanted to do with this club. Like I said, we won the league 5 years in a row and started our own little reign of terror. The Champions League, of course, we did make it the 2 Champions League finals and didn't win any of them, but we got there. Then, of course, the Portuguese Cup, we did win that 3 years out of the 5. We were in 4 finals, so it was absolutely fantastic. The Portuguese League Cup, the 5 years that we played, we were in that for 3 years and won 3. Then, of course, out of the 5 seasons that we played in the Super Cup, we won 4 out of the 5. So like I said, an absolutely fantastic one. We have built a team. The main thing was for me as well was, once again, look, just bringing Sporting back to where they need to be winning titles, but also massively clearing the debt. The club debt, the finances are looking fantastic. 291 million. The debts and loans are down to 34.5 million. That'll probably be paid off very, very soon. So like the team is looking very, very good. You have 100% of the transfer revenue, and like I said, nearly 300 million in the overall balance. You still have 175 million in the transfer kitty to spend on whoever you want, because there is some disgusting young players. I will show you one player. So there's only 2 players in this save that I regret not being able to get my hands on. Obviously, Koulibaly is one of the first ones, but we just got priced out. We just didn't have the money the Porto had at the time, but he would have been amazing on our team. The next one is actually this guy, Victor. We did try to go in for him, but once again, we got priced out by Real Madrid. Look how good this guy is. So basically, I found him straight away when he was still a bear whenever I found him, and then obviously I tried to sign him, but at the time, we didn't have a lot of money because this was in the first season. Then Real Madrid, I actually put in for him in the second season. I think it was working its way. It was like 32 million. Obviously, I had to sell a couple of players. Then obviously, like Real Madrid came in, and then it went up to 35 million. I went up to 38. They went up to like 40, and then it just kept going up. And then PSG came in. So PSG and Real Madrid ended up just fighting for him, and it went the whole way up to 68 million. But like, look at him. Look at those physicals. 6'5". Good mentality, can play with both feet. The mental stats. This is honestly probably one of the best centre backs I have ever seen with regards to regen. He's still only 23, but that's the 2 players that I'm kind of sad we missed out on, but like we couldn't afford them at the time. But there is a bunch of ridiculous players in the save. So if you go over to the scouting, if you take this save on, if you go over to the scouting and go to my shortlists, as you can see over here, I have a default shortlist, just a bunch of random players that I was looking at the time. A regen list, so I just all the regens from that season that I thought were maybe kind of decent that I needed to scout are on there. But then I have a 4 Wonder Kid shortlists. We have obviously Wonder Kid goalkeepers, Wonder Kid defense, and Wonder Kid midfielders, and Wonder Kid strikers. So you just have a look through these. There's some absolute banger players in there. I like to just kind of separate everybody so it's a little easier to find instead of it just, because if you just put them all into one shortlist, you have a shortlist of like 200 players, and trying to find them sometimes is a bit of a pain in the bollocks. For me, it's just a little bit easier. You can throw them all into one shortlist, obviously, if you want. But look, we did what we wanted to do. We brought PSG, we brought Sporting back to where they need to be, winning titles, helped the club financially. We won a bunch of cups. I would have loved to win 1 Champions League, boys. Just one of the 2 Champions Leagues would have been fantastic. But look, I'm very, very happy with this rebuild. We've done amazing. We've made a ton of cash. Brought a bunch of trophies in. So like I said, if you take this save on, let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, I'm always super, super interested to see how you get on. Are you keeping this formation? Are you changing it? What players have you bought? What players have you sold? But like I said, the corner routine, the updated database, the save file, and the tactic will all be in the pinned comments when this video goes live. But boys, just quickly before we leave, look, I greatly appreciate all the support. Look, I know FM24 has been out for like 4.5 million years. Joking aside, look, the game has been out for a while, and we can see that by like the views and stuff on the videos. And look, but I appreciate, look, we're getting anywhere still from like 500 to 700 views on a video, so I do greatly appreciate it. I'm always just trying to have a good time with these videos. That's my thing. Look, I'm not the best at this game. I just like having a good time. Look, if you have been by the stream on Twitch, you know we like to have a laugh and a joke around. Also on top of that, like I said, we are going full time in content creation, so if you do want to swing by the stream, everything will be in the pinned comments down below. It'd be great to see you over there. Look, I want to get to know the community, because obviously it's a little harder on YouTube to get to know everybody. You just leave a comment, I reply like 12 hours a day later, and then you reply like 12 hours. So by the time you've had like one conversation, it's been like a week. We're on Twitch, it's live, everybody can jump in and have a good time. So like I said, I appreciate all the support on the videos, but guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Don't even fucking want to. On YouTube. This was fun.